All right, welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie, right here on 104.9 The Horn. We like to call it a freak flag, feel good, fake it till you make it, football, Ric Flair, woo! 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie, right here on 104.9 The Horn. We're here for a good time, but not a long time. We're off a little bit early at 6:15 for Texas baseball, but in the meantime, we'll talk about the NFL schedule release. We'll talk about the Cowboys and the Texans. We may play the schedule game, maybe not. We'll also talk about Tom Brady. He's in the news again. Bijan Robinson signed his contract. A lot of straight cash, homie, for somebody who really deserves it. We'll get into that. And also good news for Rojo, the former backfield here at the University of Texas. We'll get into that. Also, NBA playoff review. The Nuggets close out the Suns. We'll talk about the Celtics forcing a Game 7 and preview the games coming up tonight. Lakers and the Warriors, Heat and the Knicks. All of that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for this man, it's a breeze. He is Mike Hardball Harge. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, brother?
Man, what it do? I love it when you call it a freak flag, fake it till you make it, Freestyle Friday. I love all of that because that's exactly what it is. We are one day closer to the weekend. Obviously, you talked about it. We're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody tries to figure out this time how many wins, how many losses. It's a little bit crazy to me because we still don't know who's going to be on each team. We don't know the injury report, but I always love it when we can, try to forecast something that is never on time. But I will talk about this. My man that sits across from me every single day. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now college football Hall of Famer, Longhorn. Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study. But he's not a fan of white condiments. But, of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babels.
I appreciate the intro, as always, my man. And let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the Aryan family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we're pretty damn sure that he's underpaid. It is Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick?
Happy 512 day.
512, baby.
I like it. Oh, no doubt. I saw your post today,
It's May 12th.
and I thought it was just regular post.
No, it's May 12th,
Oh,
which
really?
means it is 512 day.
I didn't even pick that
a
up.
wonderful
I didn't
day
either.
to celebrate Austin and local people and local businesses and local
Outstanding,
music
Patrick.
and artists. Support them today. It's 512 day.
There you go. Well
What
done.
do you
That's
call
why he's the real
him?
MVP.
There it is.
That's why he's the real MVP.
Patrick, I saw your post, and I was like, that's nice of Patrick to put it out there, make sure everybody pays attention to 512 Fridays. We got all this, but
I
I'm
did
like,
not.
wait a minute.
No,
It's
it is.
512.
It is
Right
512.
over your boy's head. Had no idea.
love
Did
it. I
not
love it.
register at all. I appreciate Patrick making me aware. That's why he's the real MVP. You're the heartbeat of this thing. You're the pulse of it. Specs text line's the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Harge is at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis, and I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. All right, gentlemen, we'll get into the NBA playoff review in the top of the 4 o'clock, and we'll break down the NBA headlines and storylines. But the NFL, of course, stealing another day, or stealing really a weekend away pretty much from the NBA and the NBA playoffs. And this is what they like to do, kind of hijack the headlines, and they've done it again with their NFL schedule release. Now, there are a lot of ways we can go about this, but because the NFL is America's favorite TV show, and honestly, the Cowboys are the biggest TV star on the biggest TV show in America, I think we should start with the Cowboys. Harge, you are a Cowboys fan.
I am.
So you saw the schedule. What are your thoughts originally with the Dallas Cowboys schedule as it was released last night?
I love the home games. I mean, obviously, as a Cowboys fan, that is one of the things that we look at and say, okay, which game, if you were to go to one, which one would you go to? There's so many that you can choose from. But then I also told you guys yesterday when the news kind of came out that there was a possibility of the Dallas Cowboys playing in Arizona in the early part of the season. That was something I was going to look at as well. Mm-hmm. And so as I was looking at this the schedule release, I was like, this is favorable. I know it looks like a tough schedule, but it's also the games that are at home are winnable games. You want the home field advantage in a lot of these. So I look at the Cowboys and I say, okay, this could be a very fun year because it's so tough when you're looking at your schedule about, for me, I don't have season tickets to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't look at it and say, I'm going to go to this game because of this team or this. You know the games that I look for? 12 o'clock. You know why I look for 12 o'clock? Because I like to go to the game and I like to make sure that I'm home. Because everybody always tries to figure out which game am I going to go to spend the night. They got a lot of games in the afternoon that are a little bit later than expected. They got some primetime games, as always. But every game that the Cowboys play, I think besides 3 of them, the Cowboys got the afternoon games. So you could go to church, go to your kids' games, go do what you need to do for your Cowboys to play. So I'm excited about the Cowboys.
Yeah,
schedule.
I'll tell you, if you like noon games, check out the Texans schedule this year. We'll get to that in a minute.
I tried to tell you what I say yesterday.
You did say
I
it.
say they will not have a primetime game. I was like, they'll have one. I
Oh,
was like,
no. They have one 3 p.m. game.
Exactly.
One. No,
Are
bro,
they
I'll
playing
say-
the Cowboys on that one?
Yeah, optimistic fan over here.
I thought they get a Thursday night break.
Optimistic Patrick over here. He's newly back as a Texans fan, so he's got a lot of optimism. I was like, nah, you getting no primetime game. Patrick's like, they'll get one.
Okay, I thought they get a Thursday.
None.
I thought they get a Thursday.
None.
No, the NFL's trying to make their Thursday slates a little sexier now.
They
So
tried.
Yeah.
if you want to make something sexy, you want to remove
Stay
the Texans from the equation. But no, we'll get into that because I agree with you.
Yeah.
You had me convinced they'd get one. I was like, yeah, they'll probably get a Thursday. But no, initially I was right. My first mind, I was like, no, you don't want. Nobody wants to see the Texans on a national stage.
They're going to want to by week 17. They're going to flex that one up.
All right,
There you go.
hey, I'm hoping. You know what? I am hoping.
I don't think
I'm
that for
so
real, but
glad to have my man
I'm
Patrick
hoping.
back in the fold.
But I will say for the Cowboys, I think what you notice really is at the end of the season, there is a stretch. Week 13 to 17 is a brutal stretch of games where you play Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit in that game. You get 3 out of 5 of them at home, but that is a brutal stretch of games right there of a lot of people that don't just have playoff goals. I mean, Seattle is probably the weakest team out of that 5, and that's a playoff team last year.
No,
everybody-
no, Washington is the weakest
Yeah,
team.
No, but I'm
Washington.
saying they're week 18. Washington is week 12 and week 18. I'm saying 13
Gotcha.
through 17.
Got you.
Seattle's the weakest of those teams. Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit all have high playoff aspirations.
It's true.
So that's a big stretch down the end when you're trying to get closer to Philadelphia, trying to fight for a playoff spot. Dallas better help they're healthy near the end of that season because health is going to be a big part when you go into that stretch.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's probably it's no doubt that's the toughest stretch for them, and that'll be the toughest stretch for the Dallas defense because those are all high-octane top 10 offenses, top 5 offenses, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Detroit. Those are all really good offenses. So that's a great point about week, kind of 14 through 17. I had that marked down, too, on my notes, so I agree with Patrick on that one. Also, there's a stretch, week 5 and 6, they have to play back-to-back games on the West Coast in California. They got to play at San Fran, and then they play at the Chargers.
Yep.
Which I don't know how. I mean, and by the way, the Cowboys are accustomed to being on the West Coast. They do part of their training camp out there in Oxnard, so it's not going to be crazy if they consider just staying out there.
I think they will.
Because I believe they have a bye week the next week.
Yep.
They got that back-to-back road trips to the West Coast for the 49ers and the Chargers, and then they got a bye week.
They
So
do.
I wouldn't doubt if they just say, you know what, let's just stay out there.
I think it's beautiful. I think that's something that they should do. We
Yeah.
see it when teams are going to overseas, like Jacksonville is going to probably stay out there
no
for 2 weeks.
question.
I would think the Cowboys would, because that to me feels like an overseas trip when you got to go all the way to the West Coast. Why not go out there? You talked about it. They're in Oxnard. They got time. They can do meet and greets. They can go out there and build up their clientele out there as well. You know, Jerry's going to be all about that. So why not go out there and do that and enjoy California again?
Yeah, I think they definitely will do that. It'll save, on some of the jet lag and the
For
wear
sure.
and tear.
And then I love the fact of what you said about the bye week on week 7. So go on there, you be on California time for 2 weeks, and then not even actually 2 weeks, because most of the time, don't you fly out on Fridays or Saturdays?
Depends on how far you're traveling, because sometimes they want to go earlier. Yeah, but you're usually right. Yeah.
So you're only going to be out there technically for a week. and just go out there, play the game. As soon as the game's over, you get in the car, the plane, and you come back. And then you got a week off. So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
And then after that week 7 bye week, you have the Rams, I believe. You welcome the other Rams come to Dallas. And
that's the 12 o'clock game for me.
Getting back to Harge's schedule.
That's
how
right.
it lines up.
My schedule.
It lines up perfectly with my schedule. That's my hot take on it. You know
exactly.
But getting back to the point Patrick made about the toughest stretch, that week, 13 through 17, you have 3 straight home games right before that stretch, where you have your I think you have that week 12 versus Thursday night versus Washington. You have that week 13 versus so I think you have 3 straight home games there to kind of help you, and then you have that second matchup I believe versus Philly. After that Thursday, you got back-to-back Thursday night games, I believe.
Yeah.
And then that stretch, and then you get 10 days rest versus Philly, and then you that kind of leads you up to that tough stretch. So at least, you'll get some comfort because you'll be at home. But man, that'll determine pretty much the season for the Cowboys, how they do in that 5-game stretch there.
No doubt.
Yeah, and that is that 2 Thursday games. You could definitely see, depending on where they're at, that Seattle game could be a little light-handed if you want to get guys healthy for that stretch run and say, look, we got 10 days between that Thursday night and a Sunday night game against Philadelphia. If we need a little bit more rest for a guy, for a wide receiver, or for an O-lineman or somebody, we may give them that Seattle game off, have them come back strong after 10 days, so give them basically a 2 weeks rest, and then come back and play Philly, Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit, because that is just – the Philly game is going to be really big because that's seeding and positioning. But then, going on the road to Buffalo and Miami right after that, it's just rough to have those all packaged together right at the end. But, 2 Thursday games in a row right before that, too, is not necessarily great for rest and rehab.
But you get a 10 days on the backside of it to prepare for the Eagles. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, either way, the Cowboys, listen, the Cowboys are a primetime baby. So that's just the way it is. I mean, they want the Cowboys in primetime. The Cowboys want to be in primetime, which is why they travel more than any other team in the NFC East. The Cowboys are fine with that. I mean, meaning Jerry Jones is fine with that.
I was going to say, Jerry is fine.
Jerry's fine with that.
And both your Thursday night games are at home, too, which is a positive because it means you don't have to travel for a Thursday night game.
And this is actually, and then they open up, of course, with the Giants, and then they basically go back-to-back with New York teams to open up the season because they'll go Giants and then they'll host the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers and company, and that will be at home. So it's actually, and they always open up with the Giants. Basically, if you don't look at it, this is the 7th time in 12 years they've opened up versus the Giants. And
it's
that's
ridiculous.
good, though, because Dak has won, his last 10 games?
He owns the
Giants?
NFC East. He owns the NFC East.
Yeah.
Like, everybody always is talking trash about Dak, but you sit there and you look at his record against the NFC East, which everybody used to call the NFC least. He's been a winner in that. And all you want to do is win your division. So, starting the season off, we don't still know. Daniel Jones got paid. We don't know what the situation's going to be with Saquon Barkley. We still don't know exactly what we believe in or not believe in Brian Daboll. So that's the beginning of it, right? We think he's a good coach, but can he repeat?
And getting to that real quick before we jump to the Texans, and this is, I don't know what happened with the Giants, but, man, they really got the short end of the stick on this thing.
Goodness.
Okay, so the Giants play 7 of their first 11 games on the road. They played 3 games in 11 days at one point in their schedule, and 3 of their first 4 games will be in prime time, which I guess is good for them. So I guess on the back end, they got consecutive games on the West Coast, kind of like the Cowboys too. So, I mean, and if you go look at it, 4 of their first 6 games are against teams that made the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about Cowboys, 49ers, Miami, Buffalo. You know, but I think they're at Miami and at Buffalo, actually. They might have, of all the schedules I looked at.
Back-to-back weeks at Miami and at
that's
Buffalo.
What I'm saying. Of all the schedules I've looked at, I don't know if there's now on the back end, they do get 5 of their final 7 games played at home, but you got 7 of your first 11 on the road, and as we just talked about, 4 of those first 6 are versus, I'm going to say juggernauts, but hell, you're talking about teams that have Super Bowl aspirations that are right there on the cusp between the Cowboys, 49ers, and then on the road at Miami and at Buffalo.
Yeah, the only one you don't worry about technically is Arizona in week 2.
Man, they got that's a tough stretch. It is. Right now the Giants, and we'll see. I think Brian Daboll is a hell of a coach, but they might have had the toughest overall schedule that I've seen, just in the way it's laid out, not in terms of competition and not in terms of the winning percentage. I'm not going there. In terms of the way the schedule lays out for them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I remember yesterday we were talking about the strength of schedules, and Philadelphia has the toughest schedule. Miami has the second. The Giants have the third toughest schedule at 54%. The teams that they're playing, 55% are the teams that they're playing. So that goes to your thought process for sure.
Yeah, but let's get to the Texans while we got some time here and see what stood out for you guys looking at the Texans schedule. For me, obviously, no primetime games.
That's the easiest.
I threw that out there.
I mean, they have one 3:25. They're not even primetime. They can't even be game of the week.
No, you're right. No, they got some interesting games. I mean, you start off against Baltimore. That's not good,
right,
for the Texans, in my opinion, because that's a team that I believe is they're a Grand Canyon sized gap away from the Texans, and it'll be a new defense, and you'll be facing a veteran quarterback with a new defense. And I know DeMeco Ryans is a hell of a defensive coordinator, but that game probably to me to start out is a little tough for the Texans.
Yeah.
But they do have just what I saw. They do have 3 road games in the first 5 weeks, and that includes at Baltimore, of course. We just talked about that one, and then they're at Jacksonville 2 in week 3. It's a tough open for the Texans, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's expected for them, right? But if you go back and you look at what they have been able to do, and you look at their schedule as a whole, they have the 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL.
They need it.
They needed it. The teams that they're going to play, besides the beginning of the season, just like you were talking about, besides the beginning of the season, they're at 43% winning percentage of the teams that they're going to play. So that's an opportunity right there, too. You start looking at it. The Falcons have the easiest schedule. The Saints have the 2nd easiest. And the Texans have the 3rd easiest. So, I mean, this is DeMeco Ryans. This is him coming out. This is his opportunity with a brand new quarterback, brand new wide receiver. By the way, did you notice how they gave them their numbers? Quarterback is 7. Top wide receiver is 13. That's the 7-1-3. That's what everybody keeps talking about right there.
That. I like it.
You know
nice. I like that.
They're trying to get it going.
Yeah.
What number is DeMeco Ryan going to wear? 281? I mean, you got to do it. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm looking at the Texans' schedule and agreed. They don't have any primetime games. They got one 3 o'clock game. But at least if you're a Texans fan, you get a chance to watch them. And your decision on if you're going to continue to watch them starts early in the afternoon. It starts early in the afternoon, so you'll get a chance.
If you get those flip away games where they're like, we're going to go to another game. No, I mean, I think
they're going to be better though.
No, and I think this schedule is favorable as you could get. There's basically 2 Super Bowl contender teams you're playing all season in the Bengals and the Jets, teams that have aspirations.
And Baltimore.
Baltimore, I don't think is near that because their
Really?
defense. No, their defense isn't close to good. Like their defense was not good last year. Their defense was okay last year. And then you're like I think they still need to put some pieces together on that defense because they need to be a defensive first team. So I think they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team. Okay, and you play a few of those. But yeah, when you're having to play the NFC West, which is one of the worst divisions, is that you get matched up with them. So I think there's a lot of positives where you can win a few games. I'm glad that Texans do not have to tank this season because this will be a hard schedule to tank against because some of these other teams might be tanking.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're playing Arizona, who we know is tanking. You're playing against the NFC South, where the Buccaneers could mail it in pretty early this season.
But how can you tank with a quarterback like Kyler Murray? I was about to call him Skyler.
He's hurt.
I understand, but I think he's going to be ready to go.
Really? I don't think he was supposed to be ready till like mid-season.
from what I've been told from some of the people that I know, he's way ahead of schedule.
Okay, if he's ahead of schedule, then I don't think they're tanking. But
right, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think they can tank when you give a guy that much money.
No, they probably aren't going to tank, but they're probably going to be bad.
Yeah, new coaching staff.
I just don't think they're going to be a very good team. But getting back to the Texans, some of the kind of more salacious storylines from the schedule, they will play Tennessee in those Oiler uniforms. Tennessee has already said they're going to wear the Love You Blue uniforms.
How do y'all feel about that?
Oh no, that's horrible. I mean, I hate it. No, I love those uniforms. But
right.
As a former Love You Blue guy, it is the ultimate slap in the face and disrespect. They're going to wear those against the Texans. And that'll be on December 17th.
Can we make them sell that team already?
That is going to me. That should be a game the Texans should be circling on the calendar.
You know what?
That should be a game you should be upset. That's a division rival anyway.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
a guy that used to coach for the Texans.
And you're disrespectful.
And you're being disrespectful.
I mean, honestly, do they not know that they're having to show that their Tennessee ownership is that boring and lame that they have created nothing? They have to go back to their Houston roots to find something fun about this team,
which is why my boy Rob was so upset during the draft.
I think it's them wanting to just be petty. I think it's NBA petty stuff.
I think they realize
you're right. You're rivals, and rivals can be petty with each other. So
I think they also realize Houston Oilers stuff still sells, and they're like, well, we want to make a bunch of money on this.
Well, that's a big part of it too. That's anytime you do merchandising stuff, because the Texans are changing their stuff too for merchandising. Yeah. I'm just talking about the reason to do it. It's to be petty. They want to stick it to the Texans, and it's a good move for them. For them, but I'm talking as a Texans fan and a former Love You Blue guy. It's upsetting. They also played Deshaun Watson on December 24th, so they'll get their return. Remember they played him
by Christmas.
They played them last year, and last year Cleveland won. It was in Cleveland. This time it'll be in H-Town. So that's your revenge game.
They're doing them dirty, dog. They're doing them dirty.
Who they doing? The Texans or Deshaun Watson?
No, they're doing the Texans dirty. You're doing it before Christmas, and you're playing against a team that is wearing their uniforms against you.
I believe that'll be on back-to-backs. Yeah, for the Texans. Yeah, that's your revenge back-to-back weekends. That's kind of your revenge tour.
Oh my goodness!
Get used to it. Yeah.
Well, hey, you got your quarterback, you got your defensive, your outside linebacker, got some wide receivers, you got some things that are happening. You're trying to grow.
No, and I said NFC
challenge
South.
accepted.
I said NFC West. I meant NFC South, by the way. Sorry. Yeah. NFC West is good. NFC South is not. Yeah. But that also means you get the Carolina Panthers matchup, which is most likely be Bryce Young versus C.J. Stroud, which at least is interesting. You get a matchup versus Bijan Robinson.
That'll be
you
cool.
get some cool matchups of rookies this season. So there are some things to watch of just like, let's see how these teams are looking. I mean, I'll say I think the Texans are at least further along because they have a O-line and a running back, and I'm not sure that Carolina has any of that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And they're at the Jets too, Week 14. That'll be sexy.
That will be. That will be.
That's kind of a sexy matchup. No, I'm looking forward to it. I like some of the matchups, but I don't think they did the Texans any favors. Nor did they need to.
But how? Okay,
I don't think they could have.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any way to give the Texans a super favorable schedule because they're just not going to be that great.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's no way to be like, unless you were like, hey, you're going to play Arizona every single week until Kyler comes back, and then we're going to send you over to a team. Whoever gets hurt, you will play their team.
Exactly. Well, you sit here and you talk about it, and it's very interesting to me, especially as someone that's I like watching the Texans play. Don't get it twisted. It's a Texas team. I pay attention to all Texas teams, and I like to enjoy it. You too. You talk about Love You Blue. I was a fan of it. Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, my kinfolk, Gerald McNeil, Ice Cube was on that squad. They had some really talented football teams, and I was upset when they ended up leaving. But with all that being said, it is going to be interesting to see what dog they have in the fight moving forward because DeMeco Ryans, defensive-minded head coach, tough-minded head coach that is very creative. I think he's going to put that defense into a lot of good positions that are going to make every game a little bit difficult for their opponent. I get it. Now all they got to do is make sure that offense gives you a little bit, maybe just enough to keep you every game competitive, and I think they can do that.
Every game?
Well, I mean, majority. I'll go majority. I'll go majority. I won't go every but
game?
I'll go majority.
No, I
in the
hope
first
so.
half. I mean, take the over under in the first half.
Now we playing Sark ball here.
We got
First half, but you trying to win the first half.
Hey, I'm not a true Texans fan.
We got to play 4 quarters of a game.
Hey, 75 cents is what you get.
Texas. I love those moral victories you try to foist on the Texans.
Hey man, you just had you should have had the number 1 overall pick.
We should have.
Malpractice. What you call it? Malpractice.
It was, no doubt. Here's a text that says Titans owner wore an Oilers hat in their war room during the draft.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, I did.
Another Texas.
I did.
Yeah.
Remember, E. Hogan came in and he actually tweeted out. E. Hogan tweeted
was
out.
that upset about
he
it?
was that upset about
It's upsetting.
it. It was very upsetting.
It's upsetting.
And they showed him the owner, the young lady, Bud Adams' daughter. She was on the phone with a Oilers cap on, and McCourty was sitting there with an Oilers jacket on.
Oh man, like I said, it's all time petty, man. Can
we-
It's really good petty.
Hey.
They're gonna invite Warren Moon over there next time to come hang out for the game.
no, they tried.
Warren Moon, he belongs to us, us, not the Texans. He's an Oiler. Like it's gonna be Earl Campbell on the side. I'm like, no, Earl, please, no,
Earl.
Earl's over there
Ray
kicking
Childress
it.
going to be over there.
Just
Bruce
doing the
Matthews,
Texans
all those
game.
guys. Come on, man.
Oh man.
No, it is the point that you just any social justice warriors, anybody out there, I guarantee Bud Adams and that family has done some egregious things. Go out and find it, and let's cancel this family and get them out. Get a new family in, part of the deal. Cal McNair can buy back the Oilers, and we'll all be happy.
Buy all the rights to all the stat. Well, because all the statistical records too.
Oh,
that
that's
actually
right.
belongs to the Titans. I thought Warren Moon, all this
because
belongs to the
Bud
Titans.
Adams is a bad man.
No, wasn't
all-
Steve McNair a Houston Oiler first?
For like a year,
like
but it
a
doesn't
year.
matter. But they own all.
Because they own- they-
Warren
they-
Moon,
they are
Warren
the
Moon's
Oilers.
records are Titans
Oh, my
records.
God.
They are the Oilers.
Yeah,
technically,
Earl
they
Campbell's
took it
records
all.
are Titans
Earl
records.
Campbell belonged to the Tennessee
Yes.
Titans technically,
Oh, my
like his
goodness.
legacy right
because
now.
Bud Adams is a bad
Oh,
person.
dude, you have no. See, he doesn't know.
No,
that-
I
that's
didn't
why
know the
it's-
depths.
It cuts
I didn't
deep.
know the
Oh, it
depths.
cuts deep. They got it all, man.
Oh my
They got
God.
the right.
Yeah, that's why they were being
That's why they're
petty.
wearing it. It's
They were
petty
being
because they know what kind of scarring that is and what kind of trauma that is for Love Your Blue fans who are now Texans fans who have to play them twice a year, and they're gonna wear the Love Your Blue uniforms. You need to circle that date.
is it.
You need to
Yes.
win that game, D'Amico.
Yeah,
I'm calling you D'Amico. You my dog. D'Amico, you need to win that game, bro. You don't win no other game. You win the game where they gonna wear Love Your Blue uniforms
Oh,
out
my
there. You win
goodness.
that damn game, bro.
I didn't know it cut
They're
that
trying
deep.
to
I didn't know
fall,
it
man.
Hey,
cut that
D'Amico,
deep.
I'm gonna give you another piece of advice. You need to win those games because the Titans are gonna suck.
That's true
Like
too.
they ain't got nothing on that team right now except Derrick Henry.
They got a hell of a coach though.
But they still
They
don't know
got a
if they're
good
gonna
coach.
have.
Vrabel's a damn
Vrabel's a
good
good coach, but
you know.
I mean,
And I still don't know if they got Derrick
team is-
Henry all the way. You know,
I
what
don't
I'm
know
saying?
that either, but I
did
know
you
they
not
got
see
a
him
hell
run
of a
up that
coach.
hill?
Yeah,
He did run up that hill.
I did see him run up that hill.
They got a coach that'll make chicken salad out of chicken. You know what?
Yeah.
And he's done it a couple of times. We've seen it.
Wow.
So I don't know, but win that damn game. Come on, D'Amico.
You got
All right.
beat. You got to beat. They have a quarterback situation so bad that Joshua Dobbs was starting for him last year, and now they drafted Will Levis.
Joshua Dobbs
Yeah.
was the starting quarterback. You are 100% correct.
And Ryan Tannehill was healthy, and
Yes,
and
they
Malik
were
Willis
trying
was
to
healthy.
lose that game. That's right.
Yeah.
And I think it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dobbs used to be a Steeler.
Yep.
Oh,
now
my
it's a Will
gosh.
Levis show, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Entertain me.
Eating banana peels and
Come on, Stingley.
putting
And put
mayonnaise
mayonnaise
in
in
coffee.
coffee. Yeah.
Stingley, this time to look like Sauce Gardner. Stingley.
They should call him Mayo up
I
there.
love
Mayo
it.
and coffee,
I love
baby.
it.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into Bijan, Straight Cash, Homie, and good news for Rojo, I believe, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Oh, folks, the weather is going to be rough this weekend, and no better way to be prepared than reaching out to my friends at Quick Roofing. Go to quickroofing.com today. The reason why Quick Roofing has been in business for over 39 years is because they take care of their customers, and they have a great reputation of customer service. Here are some of the reasons why I think you should choose Quick Roofing. You get a free, no obligation inspection. Quick Roofing requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. And with all of that, you get a 7-year workmanship warranty. So what better reason do you need than to reach out today and get that free inspection? Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday. literally a 512 Friday right here on Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the South Austin Moonlighters, and they're playing tonight at the 04 Center.
All right, the 04 Center. Where's the 04 Center?
It is down on South Lamar. Okay. We've had a couple people. It's I believe it is the redesigned church that was a church, and now it is a live music venue. Lights, yes.
You have brought this up before. We've had this discussion before. I'm old, so sometimes I forget things. I apologize. But Patrick always doing a great job for us. We appreciate his efforts. And you can be a part of the show. Specs text line 512-337-3776. We will get back to the schedule release, and I don't know if we'll play the schedule game or not. Are you guys in the mood to play the schedule game? I don't know. It's up to you guys.
I mean, I've already played it in my mind.
You played it in your head already?
I did, and I even
you got the number.
I even met with some Cowboy fans today just randomly, and I said, Did you look at the numbers? And one of my good friends, he was like, yeah, and he got season tickets. And he said, all right, I'm going to give you the number. And he said it. I was like, dude, you got to be more serious. I can't accept your number.
Was he way too optimistic?
Way too optimistic.
Okay, okay. I could see that.
And I had to bring him back down to reality of what we've seen in our life.
He was drinking too much of that blue Kool-Aid for the Cowboys? Patrick, did you play the schedule game for the Texans already in your head?
No, not the Texans. I don't want to. That's
no, you didn't even do
depressing.
It. Me neither. That's why I asked. I was like, I'm not doing it. I don't do it.
No, it's okay with the Cowboys because we know more what the Cowboys are going to look like. I don't think we have any idea what the Texans are really going to look like.
You don't want to talk about them L's. What
does Bobby Slowick like to play call? Oh, he's never called a play before? I don't know what that offense is going to look like whatsoever.
No, I agree with you. It's a tough. What makes it tough?
Yeah, it is what makes it tough.
Game is not supposed to be easy unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs.
win.
I think we may win all of them. You might be right.
Yeah, and people won't even question you.
Yeah, you're right.
People be like, okay, I could see that.
The fun one will be the 49ers fan base. You ain't know your quarterback's going to be. And you're like, we still going to win.
I was going to say, the 49ers fan base got to go.
They're still picking the 49ers over the Cowboys.
We got Kyle.
Hey, 49ers fan base got to go to the doctor's office to do theirs. Like, all right, wait, so what does this mean? How quick can he be back?
Let me see them x-rays real quick. All right, let's get to Bijan Robinson, gentlemen. He's a legendary lifetime Longhorn already. It's crazy to say that, but he is. Considering,
that is kind of crazy, right?
I mean, he's already there, no doubt. So I'll give the man his due. The legendary lifetime Longhorn Bijan Robinson signed his NFL deal, gentlemen, via Ian Rappaport, 4-year deal. Worth $21.9 million in the deal that is fully guaranteed, and it does include a 5th-year option. So it basically, I mean, it's a fully guaranteed deal, just all of it.
Yep.
Good for him.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
especially when you start looking at what the running back position is going through right now, and for Bijan to be already at that number to guarantee himself $21.96 million. What is it, 4 years with a 5th-year option? That's pretty doggone good for a running back, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know your lifespan. You come into the NFL knowing what your number is going to be, and for you to have fully guaranteed money and then have an opportunity to get more money when you decide to hit the open market, I think that's awesome. And well-deserved for a young man. I already seen a lot of people talking about, why would they do that? Why would they give him that much? Like, he's the number 8 pick.
Yes.
You get that. That's what the slot is.
That is
your top 10.
And the Bears have talked about, and we played the audio of the GM of the Bears saying, like, they're going to use him as an offensive weapon. Bijan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the Bears.
Sorry, Bears. I mean the Falcons.
Falcons.
Sorry, thinking about Rojo. Rojo in my head.
You are.
But the Falcons, and we played that audio of the Falcons GM, Terry Fontenot, I believe is his name.
Yep.
And he said that they're going to use him as a weapon. So they look at him differently. They look at him as a weapon.
That's what it's all
so
about.
They're paying him what they believe is, the market value for someone they're going to utilize as a guy in the passing game and the running game.
Yep.
So I think it's
long overdue too. I think for him to be used in that position where you can line him up at the wide receiver, you can lose him at the slot, you can run him at running back, you can use him in so many different situations. You can actually use him in a what we did for Rojo. You can get a direct snap to him in time, the Wildcat. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with him that are exciting and can help your team get a dub. So, yeah, go ahead and let him earn that money and get the most out of him now.
Yeah.
That's something that you and I were talking about, Rod. It's like, okay, you don't believe that certain running back position should pay that much, but he's not your normal running back. He's somebody different.
And he's going to the most run-heavy team in the league, but he's going to a really creative mind with Arthur Smith calling the play. So there's a lot of belief. Look at all the fantasy rankings right now. Bijan is usually in the top 5 of the fantasy rankings, at least some of the ones I've looked at, because there's a belief that the Atlanta Falcons know how to use Bijan Robinson. So, and they paid him accordingly.
Agreed.
Also, we brought this story up. Well, I wanted to bring this story up. We didn't. We talked about Rojo a little bit, but I wanted to bring up the story from NBC Sports Edge, basically about Rojo. So there's talk that the Chicago Bears, that they basically want to do running back by committee, which is a really good sign for Rojo. They're going to do, they don't want a bell cow running back is what they're saying, that they want to do running back by committee. And if that is the case, that means Rojo is definitely going to be a part of that committee of running backs, along with Khalil Herbert and the Deontay Foreman.
Deontay Foreman
is the other running back there.
Yep.
So 2 lifetime Longhorns in the backfield. There's a chance, though, that that's just their plan. I remember when the plan was for the Texans, they also were thinking that, they were going to have a running back by committee. It was like Marlon Mack was there with young Damian Pierce and Rex Burkhead. I think
Burkhead, that's right.
Yeah, he was the old head there. But then Damian Pierce really ended up taking ownership of that role because he was a physical running back, and they needed a guy like that. Bears, they run the ball a lot. Hell, the Bears only averaged like 22 pass attempts per game, which was like the second fewest in like 37 years. They didn't, and they want to throw the ball more, and I'm sure they will.
I was fixing to say, don't you believe that they will throw the ball more?
They're going to throw it more, but they still want to be fundamentally a running team as their identity. And I think Rojo and Deontay Foreman, I think, end up being the 2 marquee running backs in that system.
Agreed. And then I think I still believe
they're both so physical.
I believe that Herbert will be another guy that ends up getting traded. I think he will end up being one of the guys that goes to late release, where somebody else will go and pick him up. But I would trade him so you can get more value, even if it's for next year's draft, not for a player right now. I think that if Rojo goes in and has a great start to his training camp, because he will be that guy that you can look at, to your point about a Damian Pierce, who was a later pick in the draft. He was wasn't Damian Pierce like a 4th rounder too?
Yes, he was a middle round guy. I can't remember what.
Yeah,
exactly.
So Rojo falls into that category where you can go out there and see that happen. So I'm a huge fan of Rojo. I think that he is going to be so effective. And I kept saying it the other day. I asked you this the other day. Will they please let him throw a pass out of the Wildcat and just get that man he can throw it? I mean, I think.
Well, they don't need him in the Wildcat now.
Yeah, they don't. They got plenty.
Hand the rock off to him.
Yeah, especially because they got Justin Fields to be their Wildcat quarterback.
Yeah, we played some sound from lifetime Longhorn Richard Hightower, who coaches for the Chicago Bears now, and he was telling a story about Rojo that he basically, after one of their meetings, he didn't like how messy the room was, so he went around and started picking up all the trash in the room that other players had left behind.
I did not realize that was Hightower.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that was him.
And he was telling basically about how he just observed it and saw he likes things a certain way. I mean, he just got a leadership style. I remember when everybody was really blown away by when Dak did that during the game.
Yep.
It did his own trash. He threw it, it hit the ground. He's like, no, I got to pick it up. Things need to be done a certain way, and try to do them the right way all the time. And he's one of those guys. That's why they love them some Rojo. I mean, the comments that I've seen about Rojo since he's gone to the NFL are probably some of the best player references, character references I've ever seen. It really is. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, here, I'll read you. First of all, here's what Bijan Robinson said about Rojo. This is a quote from him from the Chicago Sun-Times. He said, "Roshan is a god." That's a quote from Bijan.
Hey, look. Period.
No, I'm serious.
No, period.
There's a scout, John, I think his name is Seide, from the Bears. He's a Southwest area scout. He said, this is a young man who has some pretty special qualities just in terms of his leadership ability. He's someone we really feel can become a pillar in this organization for a really long time. I feel really strongly about this guy. I'm excited for you guys to meet him. There's a level of it factor to this kid that the second he walked into a room, all you guys are going to feel. I'm a little bit emotional talking about this kid. We spent a lot of time with him. Coach Walker went down and visited with him at Texas. We worked him out at Pro Day. This kid has been through a lot of adversity, and there's a reason that we selected him here today. I have a feeling this guy is going to be with us for a really long time. This human being is wired differently. The more you to spend time around him, the more you realize that the one that probably has stuff that needs to work on is you. He's that kind of guy. Yeah. So these are just
He's
comments.
a real one.
So he's getting a lot of great, like I said, character references. The Chicago Bears GM Ryan Poles said I was shocked that he was still on the board.
Yeah.
So
I think everybody was shocked that he was still on the board. Remember, we thought he was going to go in the third round to the Dallas Cowboys. We thought if the Cowboys had him at that spot, you could have been you thought that they would have jumped at him, but they did not jump at him because they had other plans, and obviously other teams had other plans as well. So I'm always been a big fan of Rojo. I told you that from day one, the way he went in and made that adjustment to the running back room, learned. And there was a comment, and we'll try to get this a little bit later. He was on an interview in Chicago, and they asked him about the running back position, and he was like, yeah, I didn't start playing running back till I got to college.
Yep.
Most people have had some form or fashion of playing running back, whether it was in youth football, whether it was playing with your buddies. He had none of it because he was a quarterback the entire time that could run. Mm-hmm. He didn't have any knowledge of it, not picking up blocks, none of that stuff. And he immersed himself in it and became the player that he is, that was drafted in the fourth round, where some guys who have been playing running back all their lives hadn't even been drafted.
Yeah, and to make you hate the running backs room in Chicago a little bit more, Deontay Foreman making $2 million. Khalil Herbert is on a 4-year, $4 million deal. He's in year 3 of that, so this year is just under $1 million. Next year is about $1 million he makes, and then you'll get Rojo around that rate as well. Because Khalil Herbert was a 6th-round pick for them in 2021. Wow. So they are paying roughly $5 million for one of the best running back rooms in the league right now.
I know. That's why I was so upset with the Cowboys. I kept saying, why don't you just go pick up Deontay Foreman?
Bro.
He's cheap out there, and you could have drafted Rojo too. And I'm not nothing against Deuce Vaughn. I like Deuce Vaughn, but I don't understand why
you could have had Deuce Vaughn and one of these other guys.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. You could have had them and Tony Pollard, and then you had a really, really good running back room. Because if you put like Foreman on this team right now with Deuce Vaughn, and then Tony Pollard comes back, you have 3 really good running backs on that team.
That'd be a Big 12
but
backfield.
Right now, you have Deuce Vaughn in the opening weeks. 35, 40 carries a game with Deuce Vaughn.
Come on, man.
That just doesn't seem like that's a recipe for winning.
He will not get 40.
I don't. And then think about
who else is doing it. That's where the problem is.
Philly's backfield is nice because they went out and made moves.
Yeah, they
got
did.
Rashad Penny.
They made great moves, which makes me nervous.
Yeah,
makes me
and
nervous.
They made the trade. Who they trade for? I forget.
DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift.
Swift.
Come on, man.
Another Georgia player.
No, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about the bull. What they call them?
The Philly Bulldogs.
They the dog birds or bull?
Yeah, Philly dogs. The Philly dogs.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get to the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday. That's when my man Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented people that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Free Bleeder, and they're playing Saturday up at Hanover's.
All right, there you go. If you miss any of these suggestions for 512 Friday, you can go to hornfm.com and go check them out there. Speaking of websites, you can go check out flxatx.com as well. There's the Wednesday Night Flexes up there for you in case you missed it. Also go to FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Speaking of the flex, my man Harge was out at one of the playoff baseball games last night. Actually, right?
No doubt, no doubt. I was across the street after the show yesterday and went over to watch Westlake take on San Antonio Brandeis. I thought I was going to be there for a short period of time because the game started at 6 o'clock, showed up at 7, probably 7:15. Yeah. By the time I left there, it was almost 10 because they went 12 innings last night.
Wow.
Great baseball game, defense being played, good pitching, situational baseball, and it ended up being a walk-off home run on a 3-2 pitch by Isaac Beeler over the left field wall. Great game. Westlake ended up winning 5-4. Walk-off fashion, loud, screaming, a lot of fun. It was a great baseball game. Both teams were getting after it. But I do want to give a shout-out to the Brandeis. Brandeis's starting pitcher, his last name is McCallum. Dude pitched 10 innings. 10 innings.
That's insane.
Gave up 4 runs. They had to go to the bullpen, obviously. I want to give a shout-out to Nathan Duval as well. Pitched a great game. He threw 7 scoreless innings in relief. He came in relief and pitched 7 innings. It was an outstanding baseball game. It was rowdy. Had a good time being there. I had a lot of fun. They're going to play again tonight. They're going to play again tonight in San Antonio. Shout out to Round Rock as well. They came from behind. Theirs was a walk-off. Ground ball, double play ground ball was hit by
Nice.
Ren Anderwarther, big first baseman. He beat it out. He beat it out for a walk-off. They could have tried to turn a double play, and he ended up beating it out at first base.
That's legit.
And I played against his dad in high school, and I texted his dad. I said,
Harsh know every damn body.
Your son is a lot faster than you. He said he only had to run him out because I trotted on a lot of mine because he was hitting them out of the park. So shout out to Round Rock. They, too, will play again against San Antonio Reagan in San Antonio tonight as well. It's been great baseball. My friends over at Georgetown, they won 2-1 in walk-off fashion as well. They went to extra innings also. 2-1 against A&M Consolidated. They will be playing again tonight. Cedar Park ended up beating Medina Valley 5-0. Lake Creek beat McCallum, and Lake Belton beat Elgin. So they're still rolling. There's more games happening tonight, so make sure you pay attention and follow your favorite teams.
Man, some drama.
Drama. This is the time of the year, man. This is the time of the year.
Nice nuggets there. All right, we'll come back. We'll get into the NBA playoffs. Of course, we'll talk about the Nuggets closing out the Suns, Celtics forcing a Game 7, and we'll look ahead and preview the games coming up tonight. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Premier Rugby Sevens. I want to make sure that you know that it is about time for you to be a part of Premier Rugby Sevens action. Come out and party with PR Sevens for the Eastern Conference kickoff on Saturday, June 17th at Q2 Stadium. PR Sevens, as it's known for short, is a rugby for an American audience, featuring the predominantly North American player pool and competing in some of the best entertainment facilities across the country. You can catch all the professional rugby action at its best. You can see the team, the headliners, the locals, and the men's and women's Team Texas battle for a spot in the championship coming up soon. Don't miss on the Ultimate Fan Fest experience with fun, games, drinks, music, and so much more. It's all at Q2 Stadium Saturday, June 17th. For more information, you can get tickets also at pr7s.com. That is pr7s.com.
Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Uncle Lucius. They just got back together. They took a break there for several years and have just recently got back together. They're playing tonight and tomorrow night at Continental Club.
Uncle Lucius.
Uncle Lucius.
I like
They're
that.
a really, really talented group.
They are very talented. They broke up for a while, kind of all went their separate ways. they've got back together within the last couple months and started playing some shows again. Doing tonight and tomorrow at Continental Club.
I like that.
There you go.
I like that.
Patrick always keeping you in the know. That's what 512 Friday is all about. You can be a part of the show on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. Speaking of keeping you in the know, you should know about Texas baseball right now. They are up 4-2, top of the 8th right now. And it's the first of a doubleheader.
That's right.
First game of a doubleheader.
That's right. And if you're looking for the game, it's on 101.9 and 1260 a.m. right now. So if you start looking for them right now and you're trying to figure it out, that's where they are. That's why you can't hear it. You're hearing Rod and myself and Patrick talking about the game. And then also at 6:15, we will turn it over to Craig Way and Roger Wallace, where you could hear it on all of the stations at that point.
Faux shizzle.
Yep.
Also, San Jose State just got a man on base, just walked on base. No outs.
None.
Top of the 8th right now. Texas up 4-2.
No doubt.
All right, so we'll keep you abreast of what's going on with that matchup. But I want to get to the NBA playoffs, gentlemen. I think we should start. Well, what do you want to start? You start with the team that closed it out, or start with the team that forced the Game 7? Which one of those storylines is more important?
I want to talk about the team that got sent home.
You want to talk about the team that got sent home?
Yeah, not the ones that closed it out. The ones that are
about
about to be broken up.
Wow.
Like the Jackson
So you want to start
Fives.
with the loser?
Yeah, I want to start with the loser.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
let's start with the loser then. The Suns, because they are the ultimate loser because their playoff hopes have been dashed. They are done for the season, and it was an embarrassing loss, gentlemen.
Say it again.
It was shameful. I mean, I feel
Very
like they
much
should.
so.
You ever watch Game of Thrones where she got the bell and shame, ding ding ding, shame.
Shame.
I feel like that should have been played all throughout the arena for the Phoenix Suns. They lost 125-100, but that really wasn't the story. This game was over before it even really started, guys. First quarter, Jokic and Caldwell Pope just went 8 blank, as
Yes,
the
they
kids would
did.
say.
Yes, they did.
He scored
Yeah, they
31
did.
points combined. That was more than the Phoenix Suns scored. They were 13 of 16 combined. So that was 31 of the 44 points total that the Denver Nuggets scored in the first quarter. And then by halftime, they had 81 points, gentlemen. 81 points.
To 51. They were outscored by 30 at halftime.
It was the most points in halftime by a road team in playoff history.
Yeah. It was, it was
By halftime. In terms of by halftime, I mean.
It was an embarrassing display. Even
Wow.
Kevin Durant said, they asked him a question, he said it was embarrassing. That's all he could say.
Yeah.
But here's the other part
You
about
should be
this.
embarrassed.
So you go out there and you make a trade. You think that you're doing the right thing. You're giving up all these parts. And I remember the day that it happened, Patrick was like, this is a dumb trade because they were giving up so much for Kevin Durant that they have zero bench.
For those who need to be reminded, they gave up Mikal Bridges. They gave up Jay Crowder.
Cam Johnson.
They had a pick swap and 4 first-round picks for KD.
And Patrick said at that moment, he said, this is a terrible, terrible trade for the organization because you have now depended upon 3 people, or 4 technically because of not Kevin Durant, but Chris Paul. But we already knew what Chris Paul was. We've all talked about it. He's not that guy that a few years ago, a while back, that the league decided to put the kibosh on a trade to L.A. when he was at his prime. He was going to be one of the best players in the league at that time. And now he's a shell of himself. You go and get KD. We were talking about Devin Booker and how he was on attack mode. But the way that they performed once they got back home, that was the embarrassing part. Again, we heard people booing during the game when they were going to the halftime.
They deserved it.
And it was an opportunity for you to win at home, and that's the performance. When you talk about the fact that Cameron Payne is your leading scorer, that is a problem.
When the fans witnessed this, against the Mavs.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
2 years ago. Yeah, last year.
Last year.
So that's in a similar situation. They also had a very shameful, embarrassing performance. I think, Patrick, that's why you got the boos. They're like, dude, we've seen this before. And you added KD.
You add the boo. You can boo all you want, Phoenix. You knew this was what was going to happen before the game. You can't lose two guys out of a four-man team. You have a four-man team, and you lost half of them. And you got the two good ones, but you still can't expect to do anything against a team that was already better than you. Denver was going to win this series no matter what. They're just a better team right now. They have more guys on that team. They've been building up. They were able to basically give away a player because he was not a culture fit with the team. They were able to do that. The Durant trade is fine if you have other pieces in place and you say, okay, because we did Durant, we've already leveraged our future. Let's go all in. Let's try and move everything. Let's try and build pieces around. Let's go heavy in the buyout market and try and get some other guys in here. Let's get a bunch of old guys, whoever we got. But we got to replace somewhat of the production that we lost to get Kevin Durant, because what if, let's just say, one of our guys isn't shooting the ball well one night? We just lose every single game that KD or Devin Booker doesn't shoot the ball well, and that's where they got to. And I'll give the Suns credit. They at least came out. I thought they weren't even going to show up in this game. They played a solid 6 minutes of basketball.
Solid 6.
You're being generous.
No, they did, because they had the lead at the beginning of the game, and you were like, wow, I expect the Suns to never lead in this game the entire time. And Jokic, you go to the sideline, and you can see Jokic basically going, there's two of them. Why are we losing? And after that, they realized there was two of them, and they just overplayed. They let Cameron Payne. They go, Cameron, look, if you want to be a star, go for it. We know you're not going to shoot a high enough percentage that you can't beat us, and you can't play defense because you lost DeAndre Ayton, which I know people hate DeAndre Ayton. He was at least a body you could put on him. You have Jock Landale, who I like Jock Landale.
He's playing hard.
He shouldn't be a starter in a playoff series against the Denver Nuggets. We knew this wasn't going to work because everyone got hurt. But this is the problem and the same problem happened to the Mavericks. You can't make a trade for one guy and expect it to still not make sense basketball-wise. Where you say, hey, we have a good roster, we have a pretty good roster, but we're one player away. And then you take some pieces out and then put one player in and expect to still be one player away. And you go, no, but you took the pieces out. You have to account for what you took out. If I have $5 and I say, well, if I give this guy $3, he will give me $2, and then I'll have $7. It's not how it works.
I hope that's not how they're thinking.
But that is what they're
sure
doing.
Seems that way.
But that's what they're doing. And so it's just you come back and they think they have more, but they don't.
That's not how they're thinking.
And so they have this theory that if you take away, and we're a piece away. Well, let's give up Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah.
And Spencer Dinwiddie. Are we still a piece away? Well, now we're 2 to 3 pieces away because we gave up 2 pieces. So we got him in. We're a piece or 2 away now.
I think
because we needed a piece, and you took value away. You took away Mikal Bridges, who showed you what he could do in Brooklyn at the end of the season, when he was the star of that team and put up 40 points. And he goes, "Oh, I can score. They just didn't let me because they were trying to score over there.
Agreed.
But I actually played defense."
Agreed.
You got rid of Cam Johnson, who everybody thought was a bad pick. You were able to leverage him, and then you turn him into a KD, who I love KD, but you can't say you're a piece away and then give up 2 solid pieces and a Jay Crowder, who I know wasn't thrilled to be there at the time, but you need to put a body if you match up against, let's say, Denver.
Let's talk about KD, actually.
Yeah, let's do it.
KD and his legacy, because this is another kind of failed experiment with KD. And KD is one of the only superstars in the history of the NBA, maybe the only superstar in the history of the NBA, to win a championship and be less respected. Because people believe that he had to join a super team to get it, had to join the Warriors, an already championship squad, to get it, and not that he didn't contribute to that. But KD's legacy has taken some serious hits in the last 3 or 4 years.
Correct.
And he's got not plenty of time. He's got time to recover, but where is his legacy at this point? Because he definitely cannot. I think he was at one point trying to be in the same realm as LeBron, a guy that can be added,
they call it the LeBron effect, where, there is a kind of lingering hangover after you get LeBron because there's so much, adaptation to whatever
There's so
LeBron
much
is doing.
shrapnel to being left.
Well,
on the backside.
LeBron is a force, so he changes a lot when he comes in. Right, there's a butterfly effect, if you will, to LeBron James coming in, but it has resulted in championships.
Correct.
Right?
And you love those championships.
For every squad he's been on, except for the first time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was young and he couldn't get it done. Then after that,
that's fair.
Went to Miami, won championship, went back to Cleveland, won championship, went to LA, won championship. That's what KD is trying to replicate, that presence. I go somewhere and my presence alone, there will be a positive butterfly effect, domino effect that will lead to a championship at one point. And that has not happened. It only happened with the Golden State Warriors.
I agree.
So where is his legacy in your opinion?
Well, a lot of people always give LeBron a lot of crap and grief, right? With his announcement, his decision, when he did the decision, right? So KD goes and he wins championships with Golden State. And everybody attacks him. Man, you're not a leader. You're not that guy. Well, then he tries that. He tries to go and become that leader. He goes to Brooklyn, and he's like, okay, we're going to build this team around us, and we're going to be able to do this. Well, it falls apart in Brooklyn. And then you get this other opportunity, and you get a chance to get hooked up with another great player in Devin Booker. Can we all agree that he is one of the premier players in the league, and people will go and watch him play? And as soon as that trade happened, what happened in Vegas? The odds went straight up. They were like, oh, my goodness, this is going to be it. Chris Paul's fine. I was in here saying, this is Chris Paul's best chance to get himself this victory. Well, what ends up happening? That. It ends up you getting an L because of that. And now his legacy is he's a guy that is chasing these rings because he's not the ultimate leader. As because he wants to be by himself. He's quiet. All I want to do is hoop. You know who I am. I'm KD. I can score with anybody, but you're not that leader that a team can say, we're going to put it on your back. I want you to lead our team. He can't be that guy.
Or he doesn't want to be that guy.
But if against what's the saying? When you are he who has the gold makes the rule. You are the gold.
Oh, where heavy lies the crown.
And the crown is the other one. And the crown now is too heavy for him. He doesn't have those broad shoulders to be able to take it to that next level. And it's sad. It's really sad because to me, I think he's going to go down in history as one of the greatest scorers in the game. But is he going to be considered one of those champions, or is he the paper champion, as people like to talk about? I think you're a paper champion because you had to go with one of the best teams in the history of the NBA.
Agreed.
You had Steph, you had Clay, you had Draymond at their time, you had a coach who had already won. You went to a team that had already won a championship, but you haven't led a team to a championship. And I thought this year was going to be that. I thought he was the missing piece. I thought he was going to walk in and take it to that next level. And what we saw here recently, he was a guy that we all look as a prolific scorer, but he is not that dude.
He needs to win one, though, to solidify his legacy away from the Warriors. We all agree.
I get that, but
he does.
It depends on what his legacy is.
I don't think his legacy right now is that he's a mercenary that just goes to teams.
It's that he's one of the greatest scorers of all time, and championships are really secondary in that.
Yeah,
like Allen Iverson is thought as very good, right? Allen Iverson didn't win a title, right?
The reason he left
Neither did Charles Barkley.
The reason he left Golden State, in my opinion, is because he wants his legacy to be something other than what we are describing it as now, as a prolific scorer, one of the all-time greatest scorers. Yeah. I think he wants something. I think he wants to be considered one of the all-time greatest players.
I think he does too, period. But I don't think he's ever been that. And I think he was. He's 34 now. We can tell that he's never run and play a full season ever again, probably in his career. He's gonna have 2 or 3 more years where he's still really effective, and then it's gonna start to tail off a little bit more and more as you get older. He's a skinnier guy, so you're gonna start to have issues as you get into that 37, 38, 39, trying to play 60,
He'll
70
age
games a
gracefully,
year.
though, because he's got a great shot and outside game.
No, that's what I'm saying. He'll
age
still be able to
gracefully.
play. And look, he hoops all the time. But I don't know if his legacy, it's when you put him there, you go, was he ever going to get close to Larry Bird? No, and Larry Bird's around that top 10. He's going to be a top 40, top 50 player all time, and he may creep into top 30. But I don't think he was ever at that level where it's defining him of his championships. And honestly, if you look back, people don't remember anything. So those championships will not be remembered in 15 years the way they're remembered now. People hate him now, but as the league continues to grow, it has always been that people just want to hate on guys. He'll be remembered more fondly of, man, wasn't that one of the funnest teams we ever got to watch? I think he'll be remembered a little bit more fondly than people hate on it now, because they're just like, my team didn't win. And in the future, you just go, oh, I didn't have a team then, so I didn't care.
No, I don't disagree with that. No question. Because you'll look at everything that he's accomplished. So in 20, 30 years, we won't be having a heated debate about his legacy, but he won't be considered, even in 20, 30 years, one of the all-time greatest players. He'll just be considered one of the all-time greatest scorers in the game, and people will be talking about how elite his scoring ability was and how freakish and alien-like it was. And I do, and I agree with everything you said, by the way, Patrick. I do think that at one point his trajectory, right after he wins that title and the finals MVP and everything.
Yeah.
Multiples, right? Then he win 2 MVPs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe at that point people are saying, man, because the assumption was he might stay there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just keep on winning titles. And we're like, man, because getting to Patrick's point, in 20, 30 years, he had stayed there and just kept winning titles. Nobody would be talking about, well, he went there with the Warriors because he had to win a title. All of us will be dead and gone, and they'll just be talking about, no, man, look at his resume. He did this. He accomplished this. Look at the accolades. Look where he is all-time in scoring. But that wasn't the case because it didn't work out there, because now I do think KD is responding. This is a guy that has burner accounts, okay? So he's keeping up with the national discourse and the perception of him. All right? And we all agree that he's conflicted, right? He is a guy that's kind of conflicted. This is a guy that says Biggie's his favorite rapper, and that's a Tupac tattoo, right? He's a conflicted guy. But so I think he is responding to.
Say that again, Rob, for those that don't understand how conflicted he truly is.
Yeah, he is. He's just a conflicted. Yeah, Biggie's his favorite rapper, but he's got a Tupac tattoo. Like he's just he's just full of a lot of those.
Yeah.
It's
always like, huh?
Yeah, you're right.
It's always like, huh?
He's kind of just, kind of walking cognitive dissonance for a certain part. But that's okay. But I do think he is responding when he left Golden State. And there was a lot of different reasons, I'm sure. But one of them was, I think that he knew, to Harge's point, I got to go forge my own path. I need to be the reason the team wins a championship. And he didn't think that the conversation was leading toward that point when he was with Golden State. It was always, he had to go to Golden State to win a title.
Yeah. But
and he wanted to change that narrative.
And I get that. And that's also.
And it has not changed, by the way.
No, it has. The narrative will change. I mean, like, people move in teams. People don't stay where they're at. I know everybody wants it to be that way. It just isn't the case. Most people go to different teams. But championship teams are built with drafts. Championship teams are built. It's very hard to build a team from nothing. And he tried to do it in Brooklyn. Like, he was really the guy to put together, let's get James Harden, let's get Kyrie Irving, and he put all his focus into that, and then they never played on the court together. They couldn't stay healthy. They couldn't play on the court. Then COVID happened, everything else, and when all that happened, it basically shut down. That was his attempt to put it together.
Can't be GMs, and that's the other part.
But
I'm just saying, all players cannot be GMs, because every time you think you are putting something together and it backfires on you, it's a awful look.
That's a LeBron effect.
That's exactly right.
He wants to be LeBron.
And I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'm telling you right now, when you start looking at it, and again, I was one of those people that as soon as he got traded to Phoenix, I was like, Phoenix is in the driver's seat. They're going to be the best team.
Yeah.
But you also have to have cohesiveness. And if you don't have that, nothing matters. Look at what they had in OKC. They had him, Russ, and James Harden, 3 of the best players eventually. Yeah. And who was their coach at that time? I forgot.
Scotty Brooks was still there? Was Scotty Brooks still there?
And somebody who was a very intense disciplinary coach. they didn't want to play
Well,
with
no,
that.
and not only that, they had Serge Ibaka on that team, and people forget Serge
Exactly.
Ibaka, but Serge Ibaka is the reason James Harden left because they paid Serge first.
Yeah.
So, by the way, they don't win without Serge Ibaka because none of those dudes
agree.
wanted to play defense, and KD will play
And he was
defense,
the
but he
rim
can't
protector,
body.
and everybody got
but
paid.
KD can play help defense really, really well. I don't want to disparage, but Russell Westbrook didn't really want to play defense until the fourth quarter. James Harden has never wanted to play defense, and he can. He just doesn't want to. When I told you about steals and that number being, James Harden is the king of let me try and play passing lane so I don't have to play defense.
Yeah, he's opportunistic. He's just kind of.
he's like, look, if the guy drives at me, I'm not moving my feet.
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell my son. I keep
it.
trying to tell my son jump in those lanes too.
They
I'm like,
do.
get you some steals.
You can anticipate it,
Yeah,
man.
you
You
can
really
look at it.
can.
You can
Yeah.
see it.
But a coach will kill you because he's like, you just gave up 2 points going for 6. But what if I got it? What if don't matter?
Exactly. I need you to be fundamentally sound.
But I'll say, if COVID didn't happen, Durant's legacy may be different because Kyrie Irving plays in 40 to 50 more games with Brooklyn that year, and who knows what happens. But everyone's legacy is different if that doesn't happen. So you can't go on ifs and buts on that.
candies and nuts, right?
Yep. I agree.
I think he made his run for it. He's in Phoenix now. The problem is he is now in Phoenix, and I don't know a way that they fix this.
You know, I'm with you. That's a good point because
I think the band is about to break up.
Exactly. Most bands,
what do you-
but most bands break up. Most
Yep,
bands end up breaking up. That's just the truth of it. We live in a live music capital of the world. Most bands, they end up breaking up. Patrick can give you a ton of bands
He just
that broke
talked
up.
about it.
He talked about it. They
On
got
our
back together.
comeback. That's right. They
The
got
whole
back
point
together.
of why LeBron's bands break up all the time. LeBron's bands
Yeah.
break up, but LeBron's bands, before they break up, they always go platinum. Right?
like
So
that.
they always make
like
a
that.
mega
I
hit
like
and
that.
then they break
Yeah.
up, right?
I like
Something
that.
goes wrong because it's hard to be able to wrangle all these big egos. The problem with KD's bands is they never go platinum and they always break up too. It's like, dude, I need you to go. And he did with Golden
Are
State.
they one-hit wonders?
He did with Golden State, but that was like Johnny Gill joining New Edition.
Oh, they was already
It's
there.
already good. You ain't do nothing, John. You ain't do nothing. Bobby Brown was cold too. You know what I'm saying? You ain't
Every
do
little
that.
step I take.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it, man. It's a great conversation because I remember at one point we were talking about KD and LeBron. Was KD end up catching LeBron legacy,
Yep.
like potentially? And
Yeah.
it's like I was like, damn, that seemed like a stupid argument now.
Yeah, it
and
does.
it's like for just 5-6 years later. It wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago.
It
and now
was
we're like,
not that long
that seemed
ago.
like a dumb argument because LeBron has like accelerated now past KD to the point where they're not even in the same conversation really.
Yeah.
We don't have that sports debate anymore.
And Kevin Durant will go into, you find out where he ends up, how long he can play, and how high he can go on that scorers list too. Because the higher you go on that scorers list, you enter in different realms.
Yep.
And then you're like, all right, well, once you pass can you pass
Yeah.
Karl Malone,
You behind the
who
velvet
played
rope,
forever?
you're like,
Because you
Yeah.
pass Karl Malone, and Karl Malone's one of those guys that everyone would tell you is an all-time great, but you go, where does he actually sit on the all-time rankings? Because when you start to go by player,
oh yeah,
he was a great scorer. He was a great team, never won a championship,
and a horrible person.
Yeah.
and a bad person.
And a bad person. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Rumor has it. Rumor has it.
I know Brett Favre just dropped his lawsuit against Pat McAfee. I don't want any lawsuits here. Allegedly.
Oh yeah. They're talking about somebody with skeletons in the closet. Brett Favre's got a few too. Anyway, we're not that PC. What you got coming up on Horse Knock Live?
I'm going to
Farge?
talk a little bit about financial money. Here we go. We're going to talk about the finances. And one of the things that everybody's been talking about is Shohei Ohtani. And ESPN Plus did a great piece on what the insiders believe that Shohei Ohtani will be making. We've been talking about who can be a billionaire as a professional baseball player. We might be closer than what we think as a professional baseball player.
Ooh, the bag.
The bag is coming. No doubt.
We got to come back. I can't wait to hear that right here
Yeah.
on Hard Knock Life on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a beautiful city, thanks in no small part to our good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. That's a really long time. And you see the labors of their love all over this great city in exquisite, iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're frustrated with your work choices and you want to change in your career, maybe something new, something fresh, how about becoming a member of Ironworkers Local 482? You can accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. They're hiring over 3,000 people. That's right, over 3,000 people right now for a huge project. So you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org.
Welcome back to a 512 Friday edition on 512. Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And, of course, you can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We love it when you're a part of the show, so hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And before I get into this conversation about Shohei Ohtani, and I know a lot of people have a lot of answers about Kevin Durant and what's been going on with him and what their thoughts are. We all understand what Kevin Durant is. He's one of the most electric basketball players that is out there. He plays at a very elite level. But we all know in this game that we call sports, everybody wants to put you in a different category. Mm-hmm. And for him, his play put him in a different category. So that is why the conversation of Kevin Durant, if it wasn't here in Austin, Texas, what is the conversation in all of these other places? And the narrative is he has to be better because of the fact that he was asked to go and play. Because I know a lot of people keep saying he was asked to go and play with the Golden State Warriors. If he wasn't asked to go and play with the Golden State Warriors, he still wouldn't have a championship. So let's be honest about it. So the conversation is a legit one. It's a fun one. And we all are looking for the answers because we, too, want to see him at the podium by himself and talking about he led a basketball team to a championship. So don't think that we are attacking his character as a human being. No, all athletes get criticized because when you put yourself in that spot, when you become that type of player, you are him. And so the conversation is going to be around it. So that's the interesting part to us in the conversation because like I said, when he was traded to Phoenix, I was all in on it. Yep. I thought for sure this was it. I thought this was going to be his opportunity. So it's a good conversation, and I appreciate everybody's feedback. That's why we love interacting with you on the 512-337-3776 Specs text line. I wanted to talk about this conversation about Shohei Ohtani. It's a great conversation. Great job by Kylie McDaniel for ESPN. It's an insider. And the conversation was about Shohei Ohtani, and we've been talking about it as well, thinking about all these guys that have been getting these paychecks and how are they getting this paycheck and what is next about this paycheck. And it's so much fun because baseball is one of those, Rod's talked about it, guarantee. You get that guaranteed dollar bill. And I love the fact of it. But we are watching a very unique player, someone who can pitch, someone who can hit, and is very effective on both sides of it. We talked about it earlier this year. He's I think he's the only player to start in an All-Star game as a pitcher and bat leadoff in the All-Star game. So it's a very, very unique guy that we are getting a chance to watch every single day. So here are some of the questions that was asked. And the main question was, how much money should Shohei Ohtani get? And we've thought about it. We talk about the best individual players as position players. We've talked about the best pitchers and how the money's going to be combined. And the simple fact that, too, there is DH and pitcher at the same time. You can do them both. And now that the DH is in both leagues, there's nothing that this young man can't do. We've had Gene Watson on for talking about how prolific he is as an athlete, running the bases, being able to do so many different things. So they had 26 responses from their panel, 26 people, and they were grouped in tiers by dollars. So less than $500 million, six people said, yeah, he would get 4 years, $240 million, 8 years, $400 million, 8 years, $420, 9 years, $427.5, 13 years, $475, and 12 years, $492. Still not at that $500 million contract. So they were asked $500 million to $549 million. 14 people said yes, he should definitely get in that number. Now the years are different: 9 years, 10 years, 10 years, 12 years, 11 years, 12 years, 10 years, 11 years. And here's the funny part about it. So at 9 years, he would get $500 million. 10 years, he would get $500 million. 10 years, $510 million. 10 years, $512 million. 12 years, $512, and it goes on and on. 12 years, $525.
Unbelievable, man.
11 years, $526, and 12 years, $528.
Wow.
So there's so many different numbers. Then they were asked, 6 people said he deserves over $550 million. 10 years at $550, two people said 5 years at $550 million. 11 years, $550 million. 12 years, $580 million. 12 years, $600 million, and 11 years, $605 million. So the variance is the common denominator. People believe that he should get an 11-year salary of total guaranteed money. Total guaranteed. Remember, we were talking about baseball is guaranteed.
I love it.
$524.3 million with an annual salary of $47.5 million. Now, as we start sitting here looking at it, here's the dilemma: $600 million with $60 million a year. That's the dilemma that somebody would face. And I ask you this: and the only reason why I'm asking you this is because, as a person who has been watching sports and the evolution of the dollar when it comes to it, the advertising money, and how are you going to go about it? When you sit here and you look at what Shohei Ohtani is able to do, pitching, batting, he can run the bases. He's done everything you can possibly do in this game, and he's done it at a very high level. What is the market value in your eyes? Now, here's the last part about it. Don't forget about the endorsement money that he can get being across overseas. Because this goes back to our conversation yesterday about the international game. When we were talking about football, how do you build it? Well, this is a sport that is played all over the place. This is a sport that people are playing. They got developmental groups. They've got all kinds of youth groups that are involved in this. This is an opportunity for him to be that nationwide soccer type player because everybody in soccer is getting this big money. You look at what Ronaldo is getting from the Saudi Arabians, talking about like Live Tour. You're looking at what Messi is about to get by going there. So, and the fact that he's a guy that is a one-name player. Everybody knows Shohei.
Yeah, they do.
So what is the market value for a guy like that? And
I mean, he's going to set the market.
He is definitely
because we've never seen anything like it.
It's unbelievable.
It's unprecedented. So,
and the fact, again, dual athlete, somebody that can give you everything that you need, the pitcher's mound and at the plate, and he's a guy that you will have in your lineup every single day, one way or another.
Puts butts in seats.
Yes.
Fans will come out just to see him.
People want to come and see him.
Just to see him.
People want to come and see him. So it's going to be unprecedented, the dollar amount that he's going to get, number one. Number two, the other part of it is, how is he going to not only set the market, but the value moving forward of being a guy that could be a billionaire playing baseball because the endorsement value of this man. We see him in the New Balance commercials.
Yeah.
I think we just saw him in like a Powerade. We've talked about him getting some of these other commercials that are seen overseas. He is translating into one of the premier players in sports.
Well, yeah, because even his social media following, I believe, is already, if I'm not mistaken, it's either top 5, top 3 already in Major League Baseball. Hell, it might be number 1. I ain't checked him. I was checking that around the World Baseball Classic. I think I was checking that out.
I think he is at that number because
Took
of the
him
fact
no time at all.
because of the fact that he's a Japanese player and everybody comes to watch him play. Because you just don't have a lot of people that look like him.
You don't
playing the sport.
No.
So and at that level.
No, he is, and he's so recognizable.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest issues with baseball is that their superstars aren't as recognizable. Not because you can't see their face. Well, that's the big issue with football. The big issue is they don't market their stars very well.
Agreed.
And Shohei doesn't really need you to market him.
And I remember at one point somebody was, I don't know if it was Shohei that they were talking about. It might have been a different player, but the conversation was always about the fact that, well, he doesn't speak the language. And it's like, it translates, bro. Literally, it translates.
And obviously he's going to learn, more and more of the language
And he
as
has.
he becomes immersed in the culture.
Exactly.
I don't think that's big an issue because I'm with you. I think it does. It really does kind of translate. And in the social media age that we live in a world of, images. I don't think it's as big of a deal as it used to be.
Yeah. So it's I think it's going to be a fascinating follow because of who he is. And this is something that we have never seen in a sport that is an American sport, to be honest with you. Soccer is international. Baseball is too, but this is something that Americans have been looking at, and we've seen guys make a lot of money at this.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's going to it's going to transcend this entire baseball market.
Yeah. He's about to. It's like I said. I don't even know how you value him. How valuation? Because there's nothing to base it on. There's nothing like him that we've seen. So I don't know how you'd go back to some past example and go, yeah. He really is. He's just
75 years. You'll see it again.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's really interesting, and I cannot wait. Who are the teams that are going to be in the running for this?
Well,
usual suspects.
I think it is
Yankees.
the usual. Oh, of course, the Yankees are going to be there.
Dodgers,
Somebody was telling me the other day that they strongly
spenders.
believe that he will stay on the West Coast. The Dodgers will definitely spend that type of money. We
Dodgers
know
can
that.
Spend it.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Aren't they Fox? Aren't their ownership group? I believe that they used to be Fox.
Oh, the Dodgers?
The Dodgers.
Yeah.
Rupert Murdoch, I believe, at one point owned the Dodgers.
I know Magic Johnson owned part of them.
Magic was part of it. Yeah.
Man, if he stayed on the West Coast, that would be big. That'd be good for baseball too.
Yeah.
One as close to Hollywood as possible.
Yep.
Yeah,
because
Yeah, exactly. It would
but
just
the
fit
Yankees
perfectly.
and the Mets are going to make a run
Well,
too.
New York, you can't complain about him being in New York either.
Right.
That's also a mecca, so that'd be great for the game. If he ended up anywhere other than L.A. or New York, I don't know.
Do you think Kansas City will go? No,
Please.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, please.
I'm just kidding.
That would be good for the game right there. I don't want to see that. All right.
He'll go to San Diego and then not win anymore.
Exactly. And become pedestrian like my man Soto is right now.
Is there a sleeper for just
Remember
the
I
big spenders?
said the Rangers are spending them
I know,
dollars.
so I was
dog.
wondering, is there a sleeper? No.
I don't
No
know.
shot.
It'll be funny to watch how everybody tries to get into these bidding wars.
Yeah. The Giants have said that they want to spend money. That's another team that's over there that has some money that they may
remember
try.
they went after Correa.
They went after Correa,
Judge.
so they may try and build something in San Francisco.
That'd be good.
And then the Mets, of course, are another team that has been trying to spend a lot of money. I
That's
think the
good.
Mets are a better option or a more likely option than the Yankees right now. 'Cause the Yankees just don't have that same money they used to have.
Right.
Like they're the Yankees, but they just paid a lot of money to Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have it enough and be able to get the checkbook written out enough to write a bigger check than they just wrote to Aaron Judge.
No, and I like that idea about the Mets because they're desperate in that market. You got Aaron Rodgers in that market now, so there's less space for the Mets right now because of the Giants being a playoff team, Jets making moves, and then the Knicks are a playoff team all of a sudden too. So yeah, they got to make the headlines. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, somebody said that the Cubs might be a sleeper as well. They got money
that's
too.
a good one too. Yeah, that's old money right
And
there.
that'll be good in Chicago.
That would be good for the game actually if he's in Chicago. I just need him in a big time market.
Big market,
And I know
yeah.
I hate to be that guy that says that, but for him especially, I think they need a big market for him.
And you need to put him on a team that is looking for that big splash that can help him win right away. Because he needs to win too.
Yeah, he needs to
if he wants
see
to-
him in the playoffs. We need to
Yes.
see the best player in baseball potentially in the playoffs.
If he wants to
Absolutely.
come to a winner, we'll have him in Houston. He may have to take a pay cut, but
That's hey, that would be fun.
He
That would be fun.
ain't taking no pay cut.
no, he ain't taking a
He ain't taking no pay cut. All right, we'll come back. We got the off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. I just want to tell you about Apple Leasing. What can I tell you about Apple Leasing that you don't already know? You already know that Apple Leasing is the best place for you to get the car that you want for the price that you want. They've been doing business here in Austin for almost 40 years. Why? Because they've been doing it the right way. That's how I've been operating for almost 40 years. Because my friends at Apple Leasing, they can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And it's a pretty simple process. All it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They'll even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. We talked to Scott Crossan, and he says, hey, the secret to his business and the secret sauce, if you will, is just trying to make as many friends as he can, and the car business will take care of itself. And that's exactly what he's been doing for almost 40 years. My man Harge knows that first and foremost.
I sure do. And, I was driving around town earlier today, and as you start driving, I do this a lot, and I'm sure you do too. You're looking at license plates, and one of the things that I always see is someone is driving a car from Apple Leasing. And if you're not, what are you waiting on? He always talks about it. He's leasing cars and making friends. And that's what I feel like. I've done it so much. I've got 3 cars from him, and it has been a very, very easy process. You can make a no down payment, and you can have 0 payments for 90 days if you sign up for one of their easy leases. And I was one of the first ones to call him and say, hey, man, I drive my car a lot. I'm in sales. I'm always riding around town. I don't know if I can fit into that leasing part of it. And he's like, don't worry about it. We can write up a plan for you. So if you feel like you're not comfortable enough, or you feel like you drive too much because you don't know if you fit in that leasing area, reach out to those guys. Make sure you do it and ask for them and say, hey, how can I fit into a car? Because I've heard everybody talking about it, and I see it riding around town. If you're riding around, look at those license plates. I guarantee you, your friends or someone that you see will be in an Apple Leasing car. You can go to appleleasing.com or call 512-346-9977, and they will get you in a car. And as you've heard him say on this show, he's always talking about he's just leasing cars and making friends, and you can be one of those friends too. Go to appleleasing.com today.
Well, the end to that intro is fitting because that's how a lot of Longhorn baseball fans feel right now. Harge, we're going to get off the record. We don't have enough time, so let's just talk about the unfortunate, ugly elephant in the room. Texas baseball took the L.
Maga doo-doo.
Man, Goo-doo.
Man, Texas baseball takes an L tonight.
Yeah.
Luckily, they will play another game, 6:30, 6:15. Craig Way and Roger Wallace will take over the airs right here on 104.9. But Texas loses to San Jose State 6-4. Zane Morehouse takes the L. And here's the deal. Here's one of the things that really, you could sit here and look at it and try to figure out why and what's ended up happening.
Yeah.
You gotta win these games because you make an adjustment. You plan a doubleheader because you're trying to get these wins in, and another team, which that's how baseball go. You got to go out there and execute, and you got to go out there and play well. So for Texas to go out there, Lucas Gordon went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, pitched okay. I mean, he wasn't overpowering, but he only gave up 2 runs. So with that being said, Texas needed to figure out a way to get this game, and they didn't get it done today. But I will give this out. Dylan Campbell got another hit, so he extended his hitting streak to 28 games. It is a record at the University of Texas that is his and his alone, and he's extending it. But I guarantee you he would have much rather had a victory as opposed to that base hit.
Yeah, because this San Jose team is not very good, right?
No.
Okay.
Not very good.
Make sure we get that out there.
But again, you got to play
the
game.
Well, at this point in the season,
yes,
you got to find a way to be playing your best baseball because it's about that time.
It is about that time, 100%.
All right, so unfortunate loss for Texas baseball, but they got another one coming up, doubleheader. That's why we're off early at 6:15. So we'll come back. We'll get into the NFL schedule release. We may or may not play the schedule game. We're still not really sure about it. That may come up next. We'll get into the schedule, the details, and our reactions from the schedule release from yesterday. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends. Actually, you know my friends and my favorite go-to tequila. We're talking about Hot Cat Tequila. That's right, folks. It is the perfect way for you to get the party started. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just as simple and just as delicious. It's just cinnamon, agave, nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light. That's why it's so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream, and you don't even have to be a fan of tequila to love Hot Cat Tequila. That's how good it is, folks. It will turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you'll never, ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit Cat Tequila. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday, that's when we play jams. Actually, Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch right here live in the live music capital of the world. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the first single from White Mylar, and they're playing Saturday at the Regal Room, which is a new club opening up on, I believe, on Manchac, South Manchac, and it is going to be, I believe they're going to be streaming all of these shows as well. This is a club that is trying to get into streaming a lot of their acts to go to a wider audience.
Nice.
So they're opening up on Saturday at the Regal Room.
Yeah, actually, I used to live down there by Manchac and Slaughter, like around there.
Yeah.
Used to be over at that Regal Room?
Well, in that area, I bet my old stomping grounds are somewhere around there, wherever the Regal Room is. All right, thanks, Patrick, for that. We appreciate your efforts, as always. 512-337-3776. That's the number to the Specs text line. You also hit us up via Twitter. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse, Harch at Hardball Harch in Twitterverse, and Patrick Davis at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. All right, let's get into some schedule tidbits and our reactions to the NFL schedule release. We'll talk Cowboys and Texans here as well. But the NFL, NFL, the reason they do share Sunday with the Lord, but they also sell hope as well as any church out there, because that's what the NFL schedule release is all about. Everybody's real hopeful. Everybody's schedule game analysis and projections and prognostications are very optimistic about their teams. So we'll get into it and kind of get into the meat of the schedule here for the Cowboys and for the Texans, and also some of the overall highlights from the NFL schedule being released. But let's talk about the Cowboys first, and then we'll make our way to the Texans. The Cowboys, one thing that stood out to me, Harj, and we know the Cowboys are. They are the biggest TV star on the biggest and most watched TV show in America. That's the NFL. Yep. And there's no bigger star in the NFL than the Dallas Cowboys. They got the star, literally. But whether you like it or not, they are. And they have 6 primetime games. I believe they got 7 standalone games. They have that Thursday Thanksgiving game with the Commanders at home. Then they have Seattle, Thursday night football game, November 30th. The opener, Sunday night football for the Giants, that also will be primetime. That's on the road for the Cowboys. They also have an October 8th game versus San Fran on the road. That's another primetime for them. And their Monday night football game versus the Chargers versus Kellen Moore. Ooh, that's going to be sexy. I like that. Nice storyline. And then your Philadelphia Sunday night football game as well. So Cowboys got plenty of standalone games and plenty of primetime games for Cowboys fans.
That's expected as Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you talk about the most watched sport in America, but you also got to put in one of the most watched teams in America. When the Dallas Cowboys are on, whether you love them or you hate them, that's what America sees. That's what these networks see as well. Because even if you watch it for 5 minutes, you're watching so you can talk trash about the Cowboys. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, I've got buddies that every week I get a text before the game talking about if I'm going to be crying here in a little while. So you know how that goes. And that is how the good part about it is when you watch this and you look at how the schedule is set up. Patrick talked about this before. They have a stretch through week 13 through 17 where it's going to be kind of sketchy. But everybody's always looking at what game is going to be that one that if you decide to go to a Cowboy game, which one is going to be it. And I told you the other day that I was thinking about the Arizona Cardinal game. It's a good trip. It's back. It's a 325. We still don't know exactly what the Arizona Cardinals are going to be. We were talking about Kyler Murray. They got a new coaching staff. Everything is up for grabs, but it's still a primetime game, 3 o'clock, 3:25. That's the game of the week in the afternoon. So everybody's looking at that. Then you look at that game against the Patriots, which will be at home as well. I mean, all of these games are something that I was talking to a buddy of mine, what he thought the record was going to be. I know we were talking if we were going to do the record game, and I had a buddy tell me today, and I had to check him. I'm like, yo, man, come on, man, let's be honest about this. He was like 13 wins, and I was like, are you okay?
You think 13 is too high?
That is way too high.
What was your number?
I was thinking 11 to 12.
I mean,
no, 11. I'm thinking 11. That's safe.
Okay.
13 is
13 that's
steep.
It's a lot of wins.
That's a lot of wins, especially when you're starting to look at what you just went through. You don't have a good record against San Francisco.
Well, you got
to play the Eagles twice.
You start out, first of all, Dak is pretty good in the division. You said that.
Yes, he's
All
definitely
right, you
good.
start off against the Giants, by the way. They love you starting off against the Giants. 7 times in 12 years that the Cowboys open up against the Giants. Dak has won the last 10 games versus the Giants.
Yep.
That's pretty good. You also, and that's on the road, though. You're going to
Yep.
start off on the road against the Giants, I believe.
Monday
there.
Night Football.
Yes, and then you got New York back to back.
Or Sunday
right?
Night Football. Yeah.
You got the Jets, Jets,
Yep.
Jets. That may not be good news because I believe Aaron Rodgers is 4-0 at AT&T Stadium.
You mean Aaron Rodgers Stadium? You know what I'm saying?
A-Rod's house.
Yeah. Whose house is that?
I
He gonna
own
walk
you.
in. Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna walk in doing the belt
Discount
deal.
double check on you. I own you.
Yeah.
And that's also going up against that improved secondary of the Jets.
That Jets
and
secondary is
if you
nice.
don't have Tony Pollard yet by week 2, which you probably was not looking probable that you're going to have Tony Pollard back by then,
Right.
then you're going to have to run the ball a lot against this Jets team, and that's where issues may arise.
No, it's a good point. Oh, how popular are the Cowboys? How about this text?
Yeah, it's
I
great.
used to pay a prison guard $5 to watch Dallas play on his phone when I was locked up in Mexico. That's how popular the Dallas Cowboys are.
That's how popular
All right?
they bring it.
People,
Y'all don't think that the Cowboys move the needle?
you talk about additional possible charges. Hey, I'll deal with it, okay? I want to see my damn Cowboys. All right? I don't care about
And
that.
then he probably threw the dude's phone because Dak threw a pick.
Damn it, Dak!
Damn it. I'm staying in here.
Just, how'd you get caught? I was yelling, call a timeout too loud.
I was yelling, McCarthy, you're an idiot. And they found out.
Fire Kellen Moore.
Okay, but getting back to the Cowboys schedule, so you got those 2 New York games back, 2 New York teams, I should say, back to back. But then you do have this is an interesting week 5 and 6 matchups, both on the road West Coast games. You're going to play at San Fran and at the Chargers. Because the Cowboys have a presence everywhere. Just got the text about the fan in Mexico who's a big fan of the Cowboys, who was in prison, still big fan of the Cowboys. Got to watch his games. On the West Coast, they also have a huge presence. They oftentimes will go to training camp there at Oxnard. So I wouldn't doubt they stay there that entire week.
Yeah.
And just decide, because they have a bye week really right after those 2 road trips, back-to-back road trips to the West Coast versus San Francisco Chargers. They have a week 7 bye week. So it would make perfect sense to stay on the West Coast, save yourself some of the air travel and the wear and tear and the jet lag, and then come back home for a bye week. You can kind of reset everything, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football as well, respectively.
Oh, those L.A. So West Coast.
So San Francisco is a Sunday night game.
Yeah,
L.A. is a Monday night game.
Oh, they're going to have a grand old time in Cali. California.
Yeah, man. And you got the Rams actually week 8
Yeah.
at home after you have that bye week. So you got the Rams. So
It's funny. New York, Arizona, then Cali.
Dude, Jerry's trying to grow the brand.
Yeah,
Jerry's
he
like,
is.
man, I'm trying to get wet. We trying to get coast to coast.
There it
The rest
is.
of y'all worried about, oh man, I don't want to travel a lot. He's like, man, we are an international brand.
No
We
doubt.
need to make sure that the masses get a chance to see the Cowboys, and that's what Jerry's all about.
He's
Jerry's gonna have
definitely
y'all doing international games next year. Watch.
He wants to.
I know.
You've
You know,
already
it's
heard
gonna
him.
happen.
He's saying, I
Yeah.
want to.
If Kansas City's doing it, he'll be like, if Kansas City's doing it, we doing it.
Exactly. We got to do it.
They want to see the Cowboys. God's team needs to travel around the world and spread the message of the Lord and how much He loves the Cowboys.
You are playing in the 4 corners of the U.S. because you play in Buffalo, you playing in Miami, you're playing in Southern
Wow.
California,
That is true.
and you are playing. Oh, you're not going to Seattle. Though.
Oh,
Seattle
but
is
you
at home, so
almost
you don't
completed.
get. You
Yep.
don't get complete. I thought you were playing at
That'd
Seattle.
been pretty good,
But if you
though.
were playing at Seattle, you would have completed all 4 corners. No, but
That's
Seattle's
right.
at home though.
That's
But I
right.
will say that's a primetime game, so essentially, you're gonna have the folks up there riveted by the Cowboys. I mean, Jerry wants to, and they, by the way, they travel more than any other team in the NFC East. So Jerry's all about making sure that he spreads the Dallas Cowboys brand as far and as wide as possible. This stretch that Patrick mentioned, it is a Herculean stretch, a task, if you will, for ahead of the Cowboys to try to make sure that they don't have a kind of a downward spiral during that portion of the season. From weeks 13 to 17, you're going to get Seattle, you'll get Philadelphia, Buffalo, you get Miami, and Detroit. That is brutal.
That
That's
is
as
a
brutal
tough
of a stretch
stretch.
as any
Yeah.
team has on their schedule, period.
It's a tough stretch.
And
for
you're
sure.
coming down the end when everybody's competing. You know, Seattle and Detroit are going to be playing for playoff spots at that point. Miami and Buffalo playing for seeding. Philly playing for seeding. Everyone in that is going to have something important to play for, too, at that time.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. That's the stretch I fear, and I'm a quasi-Cowboys fan. So out of those 5 games, Harge, what would you say the Cowboys' record would be? What do you have the Cowboys' record in those 5 games? That's in a row now. That's your Seattle, you got Philly, you got the Bills, you got the Dolphins, and you got Detroit.
Oof.
That is like I said, if you can come out of that
I think
above
3-2.
500,
I think 3-2.
if you come out of above 500, you good.
I think
to me,
3
you come
and
out at
2.
3-2. If you come out there 2-3, not so bad. Depends on how you lost them games.
You can't go 1-4.
No, you can't.
You can't go 0-5.
Yep.
I'm thinking 3-2.
Yeah.
I'll go
agree.
3-2.
Well, if you want to be
Well,
considered a
also-
Super Bowl team,
Right. You got to be able.
these are Super Bowl worthy teams.
Yeah, you got to be able to beat those type of teams, right? You got to play who's on your schedule, but you also have to be able to be the ones that they don't want to see on your schedule, on their schedule. So the Cowboys have to go in there and be a tougher team. The other part of it is, and this is something to think about too, when the Cowboys, they play Seattle at home, they play Philly at home. So that's good. You got home field advantage during that. But you go to Buffalo in December. Might be really cold.
that's
Might be
something to
really
consider.
cold.
Yeah.
And then you flip the script and you go to Miami and it's hot. So you have those. But being the fact that you play in 2 of your toughest games, Seattle, which we think is going to be good, they played well, and Philadelphia obviously went to the Super Bowl. You playing 2 of those teams at home, that's a plus.
A stretch I'm also worried about here, gentlemen, for the Cowboys. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. He's 4-0 at AT&T Stadium, and that's going to be a lot of hype around that game in Week 2. So that, I'm not saying it's a loss, but it could be there just considering what the history we're looking at. Last season, the opponents of the 49ers all had a hangover and lost the next game.
Right.
Now, whether they beat the
Physicality.
49ers or not,
Yep.
they all lost the next game because the 49ers are so physical. They just wear
Very
you down. It's like a 2-week hangover to get over that. So consider that. They got to go on the road, play the 49ers in Week 5, and then on the road again, West Coasting, and they got to play the Chargers. So just keep that in mind, too.
Hey, and that's a Kellen Moore game.
And that's the killer. So you got an emotional high as
You
well.
got emotional, and you got a guy who knows a lot of your offense, telling Brandon Staley.
And personnel.
Hey, personnel and go, hey, just to let you know, if they line up like this is what we used to do. If they line up like this, and I've been watching their game films, and I can tell you this is stuff we used to do.
Mike
this is stuff we
McCarthy
used to
is
do.
changing the plays, Patrick.
Hey, he can change the plays. He ain't going to change all his tendencies.
That's very true.
And I think he said 30 to 40% of it, maybe 30% was going to change. And
Yeah.
there still will be a lot of it that is similar. So that's a good point about Kellen Moore. I didn't think about that. He will have the inside scoop on the Cowboys.
Well, here's the other part of it, too. That game, Week 16 game, they play Miami on Christmas Eve.
Ooh.
And then they come back. That's a Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. Then they come back and play Saturday against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's a tough
Yes.
stretch too.
Yeah.
That is
That's
tough.
Saturday,
Yeah,
too.
that's part of that. This stretch
Saturday
that
after
Patrick talked
Christmas.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
oof, that will determine the season right there in that show, Cowboys fans. You want to know what will determine your season? 13 through 17. If you can't come out of that stretch with at least a winning record,
Yeah.
you ain't going past the divisional round anyway, so it don't matter.
No, and I mean,
True.
Right. I mean, you just
Well,
ain't.
that's history.
You ain't good enough.
That's
now-
history, too.
we also know, though, is you're going into that run. This is week 13 through 17. Two of these teams may be really hurt by then. You may get a team in there that we thought was going to be really good, but their quarterback's out, or somebody's out because this.
Well, the 49ers quarterback maybe it won't matter. They'll still beat you.
Hey, yeah, you're playing the 49ers week 5. They may not even have a quarterback still on the roster.
Exactly.
They may not be recovered or back yet. Yeah, but I'm just saying,
No, you're right.
and so that one for me is going to be for all those teams, who is the healthiest when you get to that point of the season, because we know it's just a battle of attrition. We know that the Cowboys had a lot of troubles with the O-line, and they were able to handle them pretty well last year, but once you get to that part, staying with that, we talk about the San Francisco hangover, just one after another with no chance to breathe, to where you come out of that game, and if you lost and you lose to Seattle and you lose to Philly, and you look and you go, we got to go on the road to Buffalo and Miami.
Yeah. It
It's
could downward
real
spiral.
hard
It
to
can spiral
stay
quick
look
for you.
forward and go,
Yeah.
hey man, I'm gonna rehab extra hard and come back. You may go, it's cold there.
Right.
My ankle's a little sore.
No, that's a good point. And the Cowboys, the Cowboys have the leadership. They have the most tenured veteran quarterback in the NFC.
Hey.
He's the most tenured quarterback.
Say it with your chest.
No quarterback has been with their team longer in the NFC than Dak freaking Prescott.
You know why? Because Jerry likes his guys.
Jerry likes his guys. And, hey, listen, I think the Cowboys are in a good position this year. I know we can kind of bring up some of the tough stretches of the schedule. I think the Cowboys are going to be one of the better teams in the NFC this year, but there's no doubt they will be tested. Here, another thing to consider, though, real quick, since we're talking about the Cowboys before we move on to the Texans, here's good news, though. It's been 18 years since the NFC East has had a repeat back-to-back champion, or back-to-back division winner, I should say.
Which means
You got to go back to Philly with 01-04.
Yeah.
So you saying Eric Bieniemy's coming up strong?
I'm just saying, hey, if history would tell us anything or foreshadow anything, it would be that Philly ain't going to win it this year. That somebody else going to win it.
dang it,
Philly.
Dang it, New York.
Oh, yeah. You know what? To that point, I don't know if they're going to win it either. I like Brian Dable. Matter of fact, Raj Rant, we might get into this a little bit more. The Giants, I don't know who they upset over there at the NFL office. Dude, their schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
At least the start of it. Okay, so they got
like
7
that.
of their first 11 games on the road. They play 3 games in 11 days at one point on their schedule and stretch. They have 3 of their first 4 games will be in prime time, and 4 of their first 6 games will be versus teams that made the playoffs last year. And we're talking about 49ers, Cowboys, a back-to-back stretch with at Miami and at Buffalo. Now they do get, and they got consecutive games on the West Coast too, just like the Cowboys. But they do get 5 of their final 7 games at home. But that will test that Giants team, man. They'll be worn out when they play. I mean, they played the Cowboys to start out with, but that second match versus the Cowboys, I mean, they may be pretty worn out too.
Do they have Saquon Barkley signed by the beginning of the season?
Oh yeah, he's got the
He still got
year
he hadn't signed. He's franchised.
Oh, they
Remember, they
franchised him,
franchised him because they paid Daniel Jones and they franchised him.
Okay.
Do they franchise? Does he come to camp by week 1?
No,
because
they don't.
remember, didn't Emmitt Smith stay out for a while during a contract dispute?
I think so.
He may, and man, if they don't have Saquon and they don't have any wide receivers still,
Yeah,
that becomes hard. I will say this is something that the Cowboys fans need to be very happy of Dan Quinn this season still, is when you look at the offensive minds in the NFC East.
Yes.
Nick Sirianni, Brian Daboll, and Eric Bieniemy are all coaching in the NFC East now. Those are your opponents' offensive minds. Those are some impressive offensive minds that have some MVP caliber candidates that they have coached in Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts.
Just lucky for you that.
And you have Mike McCarthy. So be very happy you have Dan Quinn.
Well, at least you're
Hey,
lucky
man, we in the
for
game, dog.
with Washington that they don't have I don't think they have a franchise quarterback yet. So
I
don't
don't
worry
either.
about that.
Hey, but
the
they
Giants
got a new
baby.
owner.
Sam Howell.
and Danny Dimes up there.
Yeah.
I don't fear Danny Dimes as much either.
We will say they do have a new owner coming in. Could they try and make a move or do something with the new ownership?
they could.
The owner, we saw with the Suns, it didn't work, but the Suns ownership made a trade for KD. A new owner may come in and be like, hey, what can we do? Denver had new ownership. What did they do? They went out and got Russell Wilson.
Yep.
So we don't know. New ownership, there could be somebody trying to late move to bring in a quarterback from somewhere.
That's a good point.
The possibility, they're saying that deal will probably go through within the next month. So we may not know who the quarterback is for the Commanders now, but they could make a move.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, jumping over to the Texans. I thought this would be the case, and it was certainly the case when they released the schedule. No primetime game for the Texans. Nobody wants to see the Texans in primetime. But they do have some really interesting games. They'll start out on the road at Baltimore. They do have 3 road games in their first 5 games to start the season, including the season opener at Baltimore, and then week 3 they're at Jacksonville. They got 4 straight games versus the NFC South. So that actually, and we don't know nobody really knows how good the NFC South is going to be because there's a lot of turnover there, and you got New Orleans, with a lot of uncertainty there and a lot of quarterback I'm gonna say what's more underachievers at the quarterback position for the most
Fair,
part in the NFC
fair.
South. I don't want to be mean, but yeah.
I don't want to be
Well, I'm
mean.
just saying that's a chance for the Texans to steal
Yep.
one or two of those games in the NFC South. Tampa
Yeah.
Bay's gonna have, oh man, what's the kid out of
Baker?
Trask and
Trask or Baker?
Mayfield.
I think they just signed Walford as well
exactly.
today. So I mean,
that's a game you can try to steal.
Come on, Walford.
I'm just saying they signed him today.
You're a Texan. You can try to steal that game. New Orleans defense is gonna be way too good. to be
You
stealing
got
games from
Derek
them.
Carr in New Orleans
And
now
they,
as well.
their defense is good. And Atlanta, I think
I
Atlanta's
like
just
Darren
going they're
Carr
going to
there.
have firepower in Atlanta. I think even though Desmond Ritter's not a franchise quarterback, I think they're going to have some firepower in Atlanta. Atlanta's right on the verge of it being better than the Texans. That's for damn
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, too, we want to see what the
And then Carolina. You can beat Carolina.
The defense for the Texans last year wasn't terrible. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. If D'Amico Ryans can get this defense playing at a decent level, then you can pull out a couple wins, right?
Oh, no,
I'm
I
not saying
disagree with that.
you're not going 500.
Yeah, but you can steal one or two of those games from the NFC South.
Yeah.
You can steal Carolina and maybe Tampa Bay.
And I think you can steal one or two against Indy. You can steal one or two against Tennessee. Those are also teams that are rebuilding. I know Indy, everybody thinks they're going to be way better this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I
don't
Indy.
think it was straight up that it was coaching that they were that terrible. But
It's good you catch Indy early in one of those games in week 2.
yeah.
So I think that'll be the one you're most likely to win. The week 18 one, I'm not sure. I don't know how much improvement you're going to have by then from that quarterback position for Indy. But, yeah, I'm with you on that. You can steal one of those. And, hell, Jacksonville expect to be really good this year, coming off a playoff season. And Tennessee, listen, I said we talked about this earlier. In Tennessee, there's talk that the Tennessee Titans, because now, they're going to bring back the Love You Blue uniforms. Yeah, they're going to bring back the Love You Blue uniforms. There is talk that they may wear those Love You Blue Orlo uniforms when they play the Texans on December 17th. And then they have Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson's return to H-Town December 24th. So you could have back-to-back grudge weeks. I'm talking about serious grudge weeks. So
Emotional weeks.
D'Amico Ryans, if you want to win over a lot of those old school fans who are Love You Blue fans who have turned and transformed into Texans fans like myself and like Patrick here.
Patrick just came back.
He just came back, but he understands
But
what
I
it
got a
means.
Love You Blue poster in my office
Exactly,
from
yeah.
1979.
You do.
Win that game. If they're going to be so petty and disrespectful as to wear the Love Your Blue uniforms when they play against the Houston
That's bad.
NFL team, you got to win that game, D'Amico.
Rod,
Find a way to win it, brother.
How great would it be
Oh.
if Tennessee gets a lead early and the Texans come back and beat them at the end? And we're like, you wore them jerseys? That's what you get. You blow the game when you wear that jersey.
I might get flashbacks. I don't know if I want to see it like that. Don't worry. And the Texans have given up some leads, too, by the way. Don't forget Patrick Mahomes in the
I'm aware.
playoffs.
It's a Houston thing, not an Oilers thing. But
Exactly. Yeah, it is a Houston thing. But, no, I think you got to win that game. That's a big game, I think, for the Houston Texans community overall. So if he wants to, get some street cred, D'Amico Ryans, find a way to win that game because they've been taunting two Houston Texans fans
Yes, they
lately
have.
at the draft wearing the Love You Blue and Oilers hats and stuff. They're going to wear it, and they expect to embarrass the Texans when they do it. Now, man, you got to come out and bring them to business. Give them
Can't
the
do
business.
it.
So that's my take. That's the one you got to win. Whenever they win. I don't know when they're going to wear it. They said they might wear it December 17th.
hey, you ain't got your pick. You need to win a lot of games this year. Don't give Arizona a good pick.
That's true.
You got there is no reason to be bad this year. You should try and win every game you can.
There's optimism. Some people said this team could win, 6 to 8 games.
Yeah.
And
That is true.
It's possible, but they would have to. All those games we're talking about stealing, they got to win those. You got to win the game versus Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Yeah.
And that Carolina game, that should be a big game too.
I'll tell you.
That's a
Some
big
people
game.
also say Elvis isn't dead. So we can't trust some people. But I'm hoping that we can get 6 wins.
I agree with you on that. Oh, yeah. Also at Atlanta to face Bijan. So don't
Bijan.
forget about that. So if you're a Bijan fan like we all are, you get a chance to watch Bijan
Just saw
run down the hill on the Texans.
I saw Bijan catch a pass today, and the quarterback was late with the delivery. It could be a long season for Bijan.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you got faith in Ritter?
You know what
Yeah.
they can do? Hand it off to him. Then.
Let's
That's
do
He's
that.
a weapon.
Yeah.
They can't pass it to him.
Use
Let's
it
just
to
hand it
your
off to him.
advantage.
And
That's
they
right.
can't hand it off to him, well, then put him in a wildcat. Just snap it to him.
Let's do
He
it.
can hurt you in a lot of ways. All right, we come back. We'll continue our conversation about the NFL schedule. Also, I'll tell you what is now the most valuable skill set in the NFL from a coaching perspective. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time to get to our Raj rant of the day. First, little subject I want to bring up is about the NFL schedule. The NFL, once again, and they've been doing this for a while, they are trying to boss hog the sports calendar, and they did it again. They have decided their Black Friday now is a holiday, an unofficial holiday that they want to boss hog and bogard. So now they have a Black Friday game, and it'll be the Jets, Jets, Aaron Rodgers, and it'll be, I believe, Miami at the Jets for Black Friday. We know a few years ago, I don't know about a few years ago, I think it was like 2 years ago actually, the NFL decided they wanted to debo the NBA and take Christmas. The Christmas has, for years, belonged to the NBA. It's been seen as one of the kind of pivotal mileposts, if you will, during the NBA season. And now the NFL wants to boss hog it. And now on Christmas Day, they'll have Las Vegas at Kansas City, the Giants at Philly, Baltimore at San Francisco. So they got a triple header on Christmas to try to take that away from the NBA. So I'm sure the NBA is a little annoyed with the NFL because the NFL is not necessarily happy with just owning one day of the week in Sunday, September through February. And, of course, Thanksgiving is considered theirs. But now they want to take little pieces of the sports calendar from every other sport. And the most valuable months of the sports calendar are those winter months. I mean, you're talking about, fall and winter. That's when everybody's inside. That's when the weather gets bad. Summer and spring, everybody wants to be outside. So the NFL already owns the most valuable real estate on the sports calendar. And they look at it like a monopoly board. They already own Park Place. They got Pennsylvania Avenue. They got Boardwalk. They got all the expensive property on the sports calendar. But they also want to go out of their way to take Indiana Avenue and Kentucky Avenue from the NBA and from college basketball too. I mean, the draft is in April. Usually, April is right now. You're talking about you're dealing with the NBA playoffs and now the NFL schedule release, their annual schedule release, which is basically their employee schedule, all their administrative duties like the draft and the NFL schedule. They release that, and usually we should be talking about NBA playoffs, but now just for a weekend, we're going to talk about the NFL schedule released. Same thing in April. Usually we're talking about other things, but now we're talking about the draft just for that week. We're talking about March Madness. They take a little bit from March because they got the Combine. So they're smart and strategic in where they place these events because they want to make sure that they got taken up as much of the sports calendar as possible. And they did it again. Black Friday is another one. And sometimes it's not even real holidays, it's unofficial holidays, but they're brilliant about being able to monopolize, no pun intended, as much of the sports calendar as they can. And it's been working out for them. A lot of people thought they would saturate the market. Remember those comments years ago from Mark Cuban saying that the pig will be slaughtered because the NFL was, they basically were being gluttons about the way they were mass, kind of on a mass basis trying to promote and market the NFL. And I don't know if that pig's ready to be slaughtered yet. I mean, they are gluttons about it, but we can't get enough of it. We're fiends. We're addicted to the product. They know we're addicted to the product, so they just keep on giving us more. And we like Pookie, New Jack City.
We love it.
We love it. We can't get enough of it. We can complain about bad football, and yet we still watch it. You complain about Thursday Night Football, people still watch it. Complain about the Pro Bowl. They changed the Pro Bowl because the ratings were low. The ratings were low for the Pro Bowl. Still, Pro Bowl was still higher rated than
It was being watched.
Than most baseball games and NBA games. But, the NFL, they do have a standard, and I guess the Pro Bowl didn't meet that standard. Thank God for all of us. Let's talk about what I think is an increasingly valuable asset in the NFL. And I was thinking about it because I was looking at the Giants and the Giants' schedule to start the season. And it's going to be really tough. They play 7 of the first 11 games on the road. They play three games in 11 days at one point. And they play, I think, consecutive games on the West Coast. So just a really tough schedule for the Giants. So I was talking to a Cowboys fan who was getting really excited about the Giants stretch and the possibility of them struggling. And they may struggle to start the year. For their first 6 games versus playoff opponents, the Cowboys, 49ers, Miami, and Buffalo. Those games will be on the road. But, man, Brian Daboll, one thing to consider about Brian Daboll, he's kind of a made man in the NFL right now. And not because of what he did last year with the Giants. That was amazing what he did with the Giants to turn them into a playoff team. It's what he's done with multiple quarterbacks. That's turned him into a made man. The most valuable skill set, arguably right now among coaches in the NFL, or the one that is most respected and revered, is the ability to resuscitate, resurrect, rehab a broken, damaged, underachieving quarterback. You take you got one of them on your resume, you walk around like a made man. Everybody's like, man, God, that dude, you see what he did with that QB? And Brian Daboll, what he did with Josh Allen and what he's done with Danny Dimes and Daniel Jones has given him made man status in the NFL. And there are only a few of these guys that have these types of stories on their resume. All right? And the Texans got to deal with one too, because Shane Steichen's got a couple of these. And he's getting a reputation. He had Justin Herbert. He was with Justin Herbert early on in his career in 2020 when he got the rookie record for touchdown passes and passing yards per game. And then, of course, most recently with Jalen Hurts. And another kind of, I don't know if it's a resurrection project. It was a quarterback that people did not expect him to have an upside and a ceiling that high in the NFL.
Right.
Where he was being the MVP discussion. And yet you found Shane Steichen, the quarterback nurturer, quarterback whisperer. He was able to, really lift the ceiling of a guy like Jalen Hurts, or at least help him to develop his skill set to the point where he can reach his ceiling, because maybe we just didn't see how good Jalen Hurts was. And so he's got now 2 of those on his resume, and I'm not going to lie, as a Texans fan, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about that guy already with the reputation for being a made man, a quarterback guru, whisperer, nurturer, whatever he was. And now he's got Anthony Richardson. Now he's got the biggest and the most lethal, freakish athlete to ever perform at the combine at the quarterback position.
What'd you say? I'm a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous.
It's fair.
I'm a little nervous.
It's fair. I'm a little nervous.
I mean, considering his resume, I'm like, man, that guy's he's got whatever it is that those quarterback gurus have. So he's another one. And strangely enough, it's crazy because I think Doug Peterson might be in this category too for what he did with big blank Nick Foles and winning the Super Bowl MVP as a backup when the season started. I think and he's also the guy that drafted Jalen Hurts. So when nobody saw Jalen Hurts' potential, Doug Peterson was like, no. I'll draft him in the second round.
That's right.
Guy's got some skills. And everybody was like, what? You way overdrafted him. Well, in retrospect, as the late, great Bill Walsh once said, very few people can coach the quarterback position, and even fewer can evaluate the quarterback position. So he's still right about that, even in his grave. All right, so Doug Peterson, I think he might be on that list too. And then you know what that means? That means that somehow in this strange, weird world, this metaverse of football world that we live in, that Jalen Hurts has had access to like 3 of these guys. Brian Daboll in college.
Yep.
He had Sark in college, who also has this he has this on his resume, right? For being a quarterback nurturer, a quarterback guru.
Yep.
And Doug Peterson handpicked him. And Shane Steichen. He's had access to like 4 of these guys. Could that be what makes Jalen Hurts' skill set so unique? It was seen as an impediment early on in his career. I mean, he's had a lot of offensive systems he's had to work in. He's had Lincoln Riley. He's had Steve Sarkisian's system. Yep. He had the system for Brian Daboll. Had the system for Lane Kiffin. Got there with Doug Peterson in the NFL. Now the Shane Steichen system. And yet, when you look back, it's like, so he's worked with the best quarterback minds in the game today? How's that possible?
Right.
In like 7 years, he's worked with all the best quarterback minds in the game today, pretty much. I mean, at least a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Now, Sean McVay is the original kind of wonder kid, right? He's the original wonder kid because he was the guy that turned Jared Goff from being a bust into being a Super Bowl quarterback, and everybody went, whoa, you can do that? That's a skill? Like, coaches have the ability to resuscitate and resurrect and rehab a broken, damaged quarterback? This is a thing? Yeah, apparently it is. And then what they do, they hired everybody that ever had any connection with Sean McVay. You get a job. You get a job. You got Sean McVay.
I was trying to get a dinner with him.
Exactly.
I was trying to get a dinner with him.
Everybody. Oh, you a quarterback coach? You get your job. Everybody gets a job. All right, just being in his periphery, just getting a little bit. Can you get some of that magic and that mojo of Sean McVay, and you bring it over here to our quarterback situation? That's how valuable that skill set was. And I think he's also in a conversation because of Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford also almost solidified that perception. Because it was like, well, Matt Stafford, man, he's just a guy that's got a big arm. He's got a lot of upside, but he ain't no Super Bowl caliber quarterback. That ain't Matt Stafford. That's why he plays for the
kiss
Lions.
the ring.
And now, boom. And now it's like, well, man's got a ring because he went to hang out with Sean McVay, and Sean McVay does it again. So now he's got that reputation. And I think my man Shano also has his reputation. Like I said, Shannon's got a bad picker. You got that friend in your life that's always dating an a-hole and a D-bag, and you wonder why, because they just got really bad taste in men or women. Well, he's got really bad taste in quarterbacks, and he's had 6 quarterbacks in 5 years. 5 of those 6 have started at least 5 games in a season. So they're not guys who are just getting in for one game here or there. No, these guys are starting a lot of games, and yet they still been able to get to Super Bowls and NFC title games. So he almost in another way, almost in a very different way, he has also gotten the same reputation, but not in the same manner as those guys. Those guys resurrected skills of quarterbacks that people had forgotten and given up on. Like as Geno Smith said, they wrote me off, but I ain't right back. Now I didn't even look up who is giving a lot of credit for the Geno Smith.
That's a good point.
Revival, resurrection.
But do we call Pete Carroll on that one? Because Pete Carroll also had Russell Wilson that we saw was not good once he left. Does Pete Carroll fall into this now?
I don't know, because Pete Carroll, that's kind of the opposite, right? That's the Bizarro effect of it, where he was able, and I don't know who on the offensive side of the ball was working closely with Russell Wilson. So maybe Pete Carroll deserves to be on that list too. Maybe you got to do some deep diving about Pete Carroll. Maybe he deserves to be on that list too, because we learned a lot about Russell Wilson's skill set that was not very complimentary once the fit hit the sham there in Denver. So I just think this is now considered to be a quantifiable skill set with the coach, and you're seeing more and more coaches get this reputation, get this honor, and that's it. It makes them a made man. And honestly, know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of when they had the tech boom. Right? They had the tech boom, and what became the most valuable skill set, arguably, in the tech boom, in a growth industry. It basically became being a programmer, right? You can program, and you can, you were able to be able to operate efficiently and proficiently, all right, behind a computer, do some programming. Man, you had a very, very valuable skill set then. It's like what being a botanist is in the legalized recreational marijuana industry. Like you are highly coveted, and your skill set is very valuable in the marijuana industry if you're a botanist. But are there a lot of botanists out there? How many do you know?
I know 0.
Exactly. I ain't talking about your hood botanist, the one that grow it in his backyard. I'm talking about the real ones.
The only one I know is Bucky.
Exactly.
Because he's out there naked gardening.
Yeah. And you know what? In about 10 years, there'll be a ton of botanists. There'll be tons. Why? Because it's a growth industry, and now they're seeing how much money botanists are making in legalized recreational marijuana. And you know what? What happened after the tech boom? There were a ton of programmers. They're everywhere now. You need a programmer?
Yep.
You can go find a programmer right now. Like, especially in Austin. Hell, man. I throw a damn rock, I'll hit a programmer. I hit 2 or 3 of them. But 25 years ago, that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? So that's the same thing with this industry now. We're starting to recognize more of these quarterback nurturers, these quarterback gurus, and these whisperers, because the skill set is now more coveted and valuable than it's ever been.
Like it.
That Ben Johnson getting the love, and
yes,
everybody
Detroit?
wants him out of Detroit because he again made Jared Goff really good.
I know, I love how everybody gets credit for Jared Goff playing well. Jared Goff's like, can I get some credit?
But nobody else wants to take it when he plays bad.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, can I get some of that credit? But you're right about Ben Johnson at Detroit. I like him a lot, too. All right, we come back. We'll get into, Bijan signing a contract. Straight cash, homie. Right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Our city is a beautiful city. The aesthetic appeal to it is unbelievable, and that's thanks in no small part to our good friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. They are skilled craftsmanship that have been helping shape this great city since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic, exquisite landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. And they don't go to the office, they build the office. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member, a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape our city's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. So you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that helps shape the future of our great city. Maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when my man Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Kate Angel. She's playing Sunday at the Ballroom. It's a benefit for the Capital Area Food Bank.
Oh, that's a great cause.
It is a very good cause.
There you go. It's my Patrick, always keeping you in the know and all. Look at that. Even sometimes for a great cause as well.
Hello.
512-337-3776. That's the number to the Specs text line. Let's get into this Bijan Robinson story here really quickly, gentlemen. Bijan, congrats to my man Bijan, the legendary lifetime Longhorn, because he did sign his NFL contract with the Falcons. It is a $21.9 million deal over 4 years. It's fully guaranteed. The whole damn thing. It's all guaranteed.
Give me all my cash.
And a fifth-year option, though. It's got a fifth-year option in there,
Give me all my money, especially at the running back position. Everybody talks about how the running back is undervalued. Let me get all my money guaranteed, sir. Thank you.
I love it for Bijan. I'm happy for him. I think he's going to, like I said, he's going to be I think he has a chance to be the best running back in the NFL his rookie year. Like it may take him a few games
Plus
to
300, by the way, if he is
rookie of
the year.
I think he'll definitely. In my eyes, definitely. I think he's got a good chance to be offensive rookie of the year.
Yep. I do too. I've been a big fan of it too.
It's a question of, can you be offensive rookie of the year if the team is not successful and somebody else has a good season and their team is successful? Do they win it ahead of you?
Yes.
I think that's probably where we all think the biggest competition would be, is if someone else has a good season and they have a 12-win season. Then you're like, well, they may like him more because he's more. They feel more impactful to wins.
Totally agree. But the Falcons have been a 7-win team or something like that.
They're in the NFC South.
They're on the verge of.
So you can beat you. I mean, you can beat the Panthers twice. You can beat the Bucks twice, and that's 4 right there.
Yeah. No, you're right.
The Saints is going to be your biggest problem, but
they got a good defense.
They got a good quarterback too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't really play. The quarterbacks the Saints play, have you looked at the quarterbacks they play?
Yeah.
I went and looked at this randomly because I was looking over schedules. They play Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, or Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Desmond Ritter, Jared Goff, Bryce Young again, Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, and Desmond Ritter. That's a pretty, not easy, but it's a favorable schedule when you look at the opposing quarterbacks.
Guys, we keep saying Bryce Young. Remember, they said Andy Dalton's QB1. Remember?
There you go, even more so. There you go. To your point, there you go. They'll play Andy Dalton week 2 then. I've been the second one.
Andy Dalton, who they got rid of to get Derek Carr.
Oh.
Because Andy Dalton was QB1 in New Orleans last year.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, when you're in quarterback hell, man, it's hard to think straight. Trust me, the Texans were there for a long time. It's like being in the friend zone. You can't think straight.
Why did we think that they were not going to draft one? Because it's hard to think straight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they really were. They were all over the place and finally decided, you know what, let's just take a damn quarterback. Like the Texans did. And they finally did it, and I'm happy for them. All right, let's get to the break here, gentlemen. We got one more segment, and then we're off for Texas baseball. We'll come back and talk about the NBA. We'll preview the games coming up tonight right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch right here in the live music capital of the world. This is kind of funky. I like this. Who is this?
This is Honey Maid. They're playing Saturday at ABGB.
It's nice. I like
You can
it.
get some pizza and some funk.
This is different. Yeah, definitely a little functified, man, but I'm all about it.
You like the name of the
Pizza
song is
and
Chicken
funk.
Sweats.
Chicken sweats?
Chicken Sweats.
Wow. I've had the chicken sweats.
Yeah, that's what it's song
When I
is.
go get Gus's, that spicy chicken,
got the
I
chicken
get
sweats.
chicken sweats. I'm eating my chicken and I'm sweating.
Chicken sweat. I like
Is that what they mean by chicken sweats?
I believe that's what they mean by chicken sweats. I mean, I don't.
Probably not, but let's go with that. Let's go with that. That's way more PG-13.
Sounds very popular to me.
Yes, no doubt. 'Cause I don't
Did
want
you
to look.
see? Did you see Stevie Wonder went by Frenchie's when he was in Houston this
Did
last
he
week?
really?
I
Did
saw a
he
picture.
sing?
Someone posted. They were like, Frenchie's like, "Thanks for Stevie Wonder coming through." And
Oh, no, he smelled it. What do you mean? You need to see it.
Oh, yeah.
You can
Some
smell
senses
that
are stronger
French's.
than others.
You
You're
can smell
right.
that French's.
I agree.
Was it Ike that told us they moved the one
moved it.
away from the one right by U of H?
He said he made it bigger. They went right
They
down
went
the
right
street.
down the street.
Yeah.
They used to be right across the street from U of H.
Yeah.
Like Yates High School, but they moved a little bit down. Third Ward, baby. Shout out H-Town.
Shout out.
All right, we're off a little bit early, like 5 minutes, so I want to give some NBA predictions before we get out of here. We'll do that. If you missed any part of the shows, please go to hornfm.com. You can catch up with them on the podcast page. Also, we'll talk more schedule stuff about the schedule release on Monday. Anything that we may have missed, we'll get into that Monday and talk some more NFL. All right, gentlemen, let's preview the Lakers, Warriors, and the Heat Knicks game a little bit. Lakers versus Warriors. Does this thing go to 7, or are we talking about the hopes and dreams of the Warriors being dashed tonight?
Is Almost Dead playing? AD?
oh, he said he feels great, man.
And you know
Yeah.
what? His injury
His
report.
legs are fresh. He ain't gonna walk out of that arena even.
There's no head injury
Thank
on the
you.
injury
No,
report.
he's fine.
No
Because
head
you
injury.
saw it. I told
They should have
you.
at least listed it.
This
a
dude
fake
is
one.
dramatic.
They couldn't leave a fake one on there or something. Even Belichick would have been like head soreness or something.
Cranial contusion.
Yes, whatever. Thank you. They didn't even put it on the injury report, so he's definitely gonna play. And your thoughts?
They need to close it out. They
They
need to
have
close
to.
it out because if we've talked about it, if they get to 3-3, they're not winning that game. They're not
Lakers
winning
are?
again. The Lakers will not. If
he
they
gets
if
to
they
7?
lose tonight, if it goes to 7, they're not winning that game. LeBron needs to go out there and close the game out. And here's the other thing. What have we talked about for a long time, pretty much all season? Golden State is not very good on the road.
No, they're terrible.
This is, if you're going to break it, you got to break it now. So both of them need to make a serious move ASAP. And I believe that Golden State is not going to have enough tonight. Like I said, if Almost Dead, street clothes, gets a chance to play, then he understands that America's been watching him act the fool going out on a road on a wheelchair. He better go out there and be prepared to play. So I'm going to roll with the Lakers winning it, and I believe that Miami wins it as well.
Patrick, what do you think?
I think I would have been a lot more worried about this Warriors if they had shot well at any point in that game. They do win Game 5, but they don't shoot well at it at all. The question is, does Game 6 Klay show up? Klay's stats in Game 6 have been insane at points. There was a point where he was averaged 75% from the three-point line in Game 6s. So if Game 6 Klay shows up, they win because he's going to hit 7-8 threes. And if you hit 7-8 threes with Klay, they win. But I don't know if that happens. It doesn't look like he has had the legs in the last few series. So I think the Lakers know how to close this game out, and they know they have to. So they play with that energy. Anthony Davis plays well, they win. And Miami, they got the dog in them.
They got the dog.
Yeah.
They got the dog.
They got the ultimate
They
dog.
got
The fact
the
how New York
The
looked so
atomic dog.
discombobulated, 19 turnovers, discombobulated in so much of that game. Miami just looks more like they got the championship pedigree in them right now.
Even after the fact that Jalen Brunson played
48 minutes.
48 minutes,
Yeah.
he's out of there. He don't have no legs.
But he had 38 points in those 48
he's
minutes
out
too.
of there. He's out of there.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Warriors. Listen, they're gonna play with some desperation. They got championship DNA. You got championship pedigree, so they're gonna play with a ton of pride. I think the Lakers. I do. I think AD comes to play. No matter what nickname you want to give him, he comes to play. And I also think you get LeBron's sense of urgency. I don't know how efficient LeBron's going to be, but I do think you get that intense LeBron energy. And when you get intense LeBron energy, this team usually responds really well. The supporting cast has been what saved the Lakers in the postseason so far. We don't know. It's a really we have no idea because it's a rotating cast of characters.
Yep.
It'll be somebody. I don't know if it's going to be Hachimura. I don't know if it's going to be, it was Lonnie Walker last time.
If Austin Reeves continues to have a good game.
It'll be one of them. I think one of those guys steps up for him and helps them out, and I think they get the win. And I'm with you. The dog, Jimmy Butler. He closes
the
it out.
atomic dog comes out.
Yeah. And the Heat win, too.
Exactly.
All right. What's on tap for you coming up this weekend, brother?
Watching basketball, and then my son's got basketball tournament this weekend, so we're on the road again.
Man, you're always on the road.
I am. That's why I use Apple Leasing.
Way to bring it home, brother. Way to bring it full circle.
It is.
Patrick, what you got on tap, brother?
Doing some yard work if it's not raining, and then watching basketball.
Well, you watching basketball because it's going to be raining.
It's going to be on and off. On and off, man.
That's true. All right. Actually, I'll be watching a ton of basketball as well. And this weekend, man, you know what? I'm actually going to do some yard work, too. I'm going to try to get out there, Patrick.
It's going to be raining.
Hey, you know what? I got to say it, and then my wife won't blame me when I don't get it done. Like, you don't play this weekend? I'm going to do a lot of yard work.
Yeah.
It's raining. Oh, well, I can't do it. All right, I want to thank all you guys for your participation. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll be talking about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves. More importantly, take care of each other. Texas baseball coming up next. Peace.